What's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Talking Figures. As always, I am Tony. Today's guest, you know him very well. You can catch him every Monday and Thursday live on his channel, A Punk with Toys. There you'll see his Monday night toy ramblings and his Thursdays with a friend. His toy reviews, to me, are probably the most honest assessments of these little plastic money pits that I think I've ever seen on YouTube. Some people tend to disagree with his opinions, but honestly, make no mistake, I think he's one of the most respected toy tubers in the game right now. He's blunt, he's honest, he's to the point. I think he's the true definition of the word punk. Please welcome and joining me from the pit, A Punk with Toys. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy to have you here. I found you a while back on YouTube with one of your live streams. I think it was the Monday Night Toy Ramblings.
Okay.
And I dig your style, man. I dig the honesty. I like when guys are just themselves. They don't really give a shit if you take it or leave it. This is who I am. If you like it, cool. If not, keep it moving. And I wanted to get to kind of know you personally. That's probably the reason why I started this podcast, because I want to talk to guys one on one and just get to know them on a one to one basis. And then this way, if I ever see you in crossing, whether it's a toy convention or even in the chats, now we know each other, man.
No, it's great. I met so many people, and what you're saying about being honest, and just I don't understand why people lie and why they try and be someone different. It seems
Yeah.
exhausting.
I
It
think
seems
temp.
exhausting to remember who you are if you're not being
I
who you
think
are.
people like want to play a character. They don't want to
Yeah,
really be themselves, because if you see the real person, you might not like it, and they can't handle that. But a character, if you don't like it, it's not really me.
yeah. There's one guy on YouTube I'm not a big fan of, and he doesn't do anything other
Yeah,
than friends of mine have said, no, he's not like that in real life. He plays a character when he's on YouTube, and he's like, I think that's what you don't like about him. I'm like, that's exactly it. I mean,
yeah,
Tom Cruise, he plays a character. That's cool. You know, that's what I want to see. But on YouTube, if you're doing toy stuff, like
yeah.
I don't
It's
want to
either
see
you
that.
got a natural personality or not.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got you.
and some people like it, and good. I
Yeah,
mean, that's why this world it's a big YouTube world, and we're all entitled to like different things. And God bless, because you don't want everyone to being a straight edge punk
yeah.
coming in at almost 50 years old, going, "You've never drank in your life," and it's like, "No, you never smoked, no," and they'll ask 3 or 4 times because it's like, okay, I've already like it's not going to change from the first
The
time to
first
the
time you
third time
asked.
you just asked me
Yeah.
in in the matter of 30 seconds.
I think it's sometimes they can't believe it because they can't picture themselves doing it like that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people say that. To me, it's kind of funny because they're like, "How have you never done it?" I'm like, "Because I've never done it. You can't miss something you've never done." Like
Exactly.
people would say, "Don't you wish you were taller?" And I go, "I don't
Mm.
know because I've never been tall." You can
Yeah.
ask a tall person, "Don't you wish you were shorter?" Because at one time they
Yeah.
were that height.
Yeah.
But I've never been over 5'4", so I can't
Exactly.
tell you what it feels like to reach the top of any of my shelves.
Yeah. Same thing goes with toy collecting. A lot of people tend to like, you don't collect this line, and it's just like, no, because I didn't never was into
Yeah,
the property itself, so I just don't care.
and some of it I think is great because I'm so glad I don't collect Transformers
I'm
because
the same way.
you,
Yeah.
you like I used to watch and I still catch them from time to time. Um, Tidarium Hanger, and he'll do like a 25 to 30 minute, not a recording of like toy news. I swear, 25 minutes is like different Transformers and knockoff Transformers and this, and they all look awesome. But you're like, that is a lot of Transformers. If
Yeah.
I'm a collector,
Yeah. That is a lot of Transformers is a big fucking line. So to me, that's a money pit, honestly.
yeah.
But I do want to, because I always ask this first of my guests. Now, do you collect a lot of stuff, or is it just GI Joe? Before I
Oh
go,
man. Oh man, I'm a squirrel. GI Joe was always my thing from
okay,
being a kid till now.
yeah,
And when my ex and I split up, my whole idea was just to pick up as many of the O-ring figures as I have. I still have a lot of my original GI Joe figures
oh wow,
from my childhood vehicles and stuff. So I started doing that, and then when Classified came out, I've always been like a toy collector.
Okay.
Mid '90s with Power of the Force, the Spawn figures,
Okay.
Star Trek figures. Now I would say I got away from GI Joe even because I always wanted the O ring stuff, and I wasn't going to a lot of vintage stuff to try and vintage stores to get stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but GI Joe is the big one, as everyone knows. But no, I dabble in way too much.
Okay.
But I dabble. I mean, there are some lines I'm all in, like Gargoyles.
Okay.
I'm pretty much all in on the Gargoyles line. I'm waiting for the Monster Force. I was big into Valenverse, but as many reasons for that. But the biggest reason would be that with so many classified figures, there's no use for to have them as background characters.
I got you. Yeah.
But I mean, I got like the Savage Crucible sitting right here. I wanted to
Yeah.
pick one up to do a review. Um, AWOC. I was doing the Origins line. I kind of run its course of figures that I was interested in. So if I see
Okay.
something that stands out, but I dabble in way too much. I wish I could be in that focus of like, hey, I only want to collect GI Joe and
Yeah.
GI Joe Associated. But
Was did you ever stop collecting, or was it always just consistent with you?
no, I would say that I stopped when life came along. Just I stopped skateboarding.
Okay.
I've never quit, and people would be like, "Oh, you quit?" I'm like, "No, I never quit." Because to me, quitting is like I'm never going to do that
Do
again.
it again. Yeah.
But you get a real job, you get a career. But my kids came along, and so I stopped skateboarding.
Uh,
Uh, for 10 years, I don't even think I stood on a skateboard. Uh,
wow.
and again, I never quit because I drive around and I'm like, oh, wow, look at that handrail, look at that ledge. And I start skating again. I'm like, I'm never doing those again. And collecting was the same way, but I would still pick up stuff. But as you have kids, I always say this: like collectors shouldn't have kids because we
Oh
get in
yeah.
this mindset that they have to have everything. I mean, I tell this story. I've told the story a few times where my stepdaughter, so my ex's daughter, uh, Care Bears had come out. They redid Care Bears, and there was like 9 of them, and I found 8 of them. They were only at Walgreens. That was the only place that I could find them, and I could not find that last one. And Susan, my ex, she'd be like, she doesn't care. I'm like, no, you don't understand. There's 9 of them. She has 8. We need all 9. I
Right.
never found it. I doubt those Care Bears are even anywhere. They're not here, and I don't believe my daughter has them. So I believe they're somewhere in some landfill. But it
Oh
drove
wow.
me nuts.
Nuts. Yeah.
I went to so many Walgreens looking for that, um, and this
That
was before like eBay
that
was.
just happened to my best friend's my best friend's kid. He bought he started buying the classified for his kid, claiming it's for his kid, but he's really setting them up, right? And then he goes on eBay and he buys 2 his tanks. And he said he went to give it to his kid. He said his kid played with it for literally 30 seconds and then just pushed it away. And it just now he just doesn't even touch it no more. So now he's like, I don't know what to do with this thing. I was like, I spent all this money, and it's like, but it's for you. It's really not for
Yeah.
him. It was really for you. So you play with it.
Yeah, my so I finally get to the point where I started selling off some of my doubles and
Okay.
my O rings.
Yeah.
Um, and some of it was actually my childhood stuff because I had replaced it. Like I sold my original Conquest because I bought a new one that was in better shape and everything.
Okay.
And I sold a lot of stuff to my buddy and his son. And and I met this guy skateboarding. His son skateboards, but these 2 guys that I skated with, both their sons were the same age, and they both were playing with GI Joe because they were like 8, 9 years old.
Oh, right on. Okay.
And uh, this guy, he bought, I want to say for like $175, the flag, a Sky Striker. It was so much stuff that this guy that he worked with. And I'm like, does this guy know? And he goes, yeah. He said, I'd rather go to someone that has kids that's going to play with it. So he was kind of doing the same thing. Um, and he was like, I think it's more for me in some ways, but he takes care of it. He plays with it, but he takes care of it. And I can see him eventually coming back to it, but it's kind of something that we can do together,
Oh yeah.
which is true. I mean, I take my daughter to the Funko Pop store, because she likes Funko Pops. I could care less about Funko Pops,
Yeah.
but um, she enjoys it. It's something that we can bond over and have fun. So it's
There's always that one thing you got to find with your kid. I noticed because I
yeah,
got nephews too, and it's always that my nephew has like this game that he likes, and he because I always like make shit, so I'm like, he'll come down here and say, Uncle Tony, can you just make me something for this game? And you just do it because I know that it'll bond me and him. You know,
yeah.
it's just a little bonding experience. Yeah, I get that. You just find the little things and grab onto it, even if you don't like it.
And it only lasts so long, but it is
Yeah,
something that they will remember for the rest of their lives.
exactly. For
Now,
real.
there'll be a period that they totally forget and don't care.
Yeah.
But you'll get older or be gone, and they'll be like, I totally remember, my mom doing this with me, and or my dad, he was a collector, and probably is. She's probably, my daughter will probably be telling the story with all these GI Joes behind her, and she's like, "Yeah, my dad was a collector." See, I'm stuck with all these GI Joes. I know every time I get a female figure, I'm like, Olivia, this one is yours. What about the other ones? I'm like, you and your brother can figure those
Figure those
out.
out. Was GI Joe, was that the line that started you off as a kid, or was it something else?
Oh no, it would have been Transformers. Or not
Transformers,
Transformers, Star Wars.
Star Wars. Oh, so
I can
okay.
remember. I can remember exactly where I was the first time I saw a GI Joe commercial. I can remember what I was
Uh,
doing and what I said. It was. I mean, it stands out like yesterday. And I think like anyone, I was born in '75, end of
yeah,
'75, literally the end of '75. So Star Wars was the big thing,
yeah.
and so I had the Star Wars. I had Adventure People, and I can remember I was sitting on the floor in front of the TV. I was playing with Star Wars and the Lone Ranger figures. Oddly enough, I still have that Tonto and Lone Ranger figure. Don't have the
Wow.
horses anymore. I was sitting on the floor and I was playing with Star Wars. I had the Snow Speeder. I only had two vehicles. So I had the Snow Speeders in front of me, and I had Lone Ranger and Tonto. I guess I must have mixed lines at one
Mine.
point in my life. And I saw
Right, you
G.I.
could be
Joe.
Space Cowboy.
Yeah, yeah. And this G.I. Joe commercial came on, and I turned around and looked at my dad and said, "Can I get one of those?" And he said, "We'll see." And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I can remember the ugly silver grayish box TV that it was in front
Right.
of on a stand that probably should not have housed anything more than 10 pounds yet.
That's awesome.
But yeah, but once it was GI Joe, I mean, I had other stuff. I don't want to say collect because we didn't collect when we were kids. We
Yeah,
played.
you played with them, yeah.
I mean, I had Transformers. I had obviously GoBots if you had Transformers for the most part. Uh, some Master of the Universe stuff. I never knew it was called Master of the Universe. I always thought it was called He Man.
He-Man. I'm saying
Yeah.
way.
So I had He-Man figures. I had some mask stuff. I loved Jason and World Warriors.
Okay.
Still had some Star Wars figures, but man, once you could bend the elbows, it
Yeah.
it didn't matter. Um, but that was it, and I think that's the reason why I still have this stuff. I don't know where any of my other toys are. I don't know if my dad got rid of them. I don't remember if I sold them, but I just remember saying, "Do not get rid of the GI Joe stuff."
That's
And for the
awesome.
most part, he never got rid of anything. There's stuff that got lost along the way
But yeah.
that I'll find. Even finding the Gatling gun to the Rattler, and I'm like, I remember the Rattler. I remember it was completely that. How any of those have survived the '80s, I have no idea because those wheels were so bad.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm like, I would not have gotten rid of the frame. So how did I lose it along the way? But I did. So there's a bunch of stuff. I'm that kid that can go through uh, the catalog and the pamphlets and be like, I had him, that I had that vehicle, that vehicle, that vehicle, and I would say probably the first six series, the very few figures or vehicles I didn't have because I didn't want them.
Oh wow.
There was just a few that it was like I just never had that. Other ones were like I didn't even want that, so I never had it.
Had it. Okay. What was your favorite vehicle if you had to pick one?
Ooh, man, my So I acquired a Mauler that the person had taken the guts out of,
Oh wow.
so you could push it.
Ah,
So
okay.
it was awesome because I
Yeah.
love the Mauler. You could push it. You didn't have to worry about it breaking anything. And I still had one that worked. Matter of fact, I sold that one probably about a year and a half. Well, I sold my original one probably about a year and a half ago. Those things are expensive
Yeah.
because I acquired one that was like brand new. That was brand
Wow.
new.
Oh wow.
And then when I looked at how much I could get for the one that I had that still worked, I ran it and everything. I actually sold it because I had one that's only missing two mud flaps on the back. It's the only thing I'm
Mhm.
missing.
Now you're gonna try and complete it or no?
Yeah, if I can find the mud flaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only
Okay.
two. It's only two, and I don't know why. The guy I bought them off. I don't know why he didn't have them because he had every.
Um.
Well, it was really weird. Like stuff kind of got pushed. And I'm like, this stuff is brand new. Why? Like, why is it brand new? And he was like, I think it was right towards the end of me playing with toys that I got some of the stuff.
Okay.
I got a hovercraft complete, only mine missing the two vines in the back that steer the.
Hey.
And I actually got one, so I only need one of those. Um, I bought so much stuff, and I bought this all like 6 years ago for $275, and everything came out. When I just kind of quickly did the math, it was over $1,000 worth of stuff.
Wow.
But he wanted to get rid of it, and
Yeah.
I was cool. And now I know some of the stuff's just the Mauler itself is worth, and then the hovercraft. And I
That's a
love the
lot.
whale because the whale actually floated. There was the one vehicle that could float, that and the APC, that you didn't have to worry about sinking.
Yeah.
Every other vehicle, it was only a matter of time, if not instantly, was going to go down to the bottom of the bathtub.
That's facts, man. I was unfortunate in terms of having those stuff. I had friends who had them, and my I loved the whale. If they would ever, I know they wouldn't, but if they ever were to make that in a 112, oh, I would gobble that up in a second, man.
So my buddy that constantly, so if you watch my reviews,
Oh yeah.
honestly, I would say at least 25% of that stuff is not my stuff. It's my buddy Greg's.
Okay.
The gridiron stuff, almost all the gridiron stuff is his.
Oh
Like the
wow.
whole vamp that I'm doing, that's his vamp.
Oh
He's
okay.
never even seen the vamp. He gave it to me in the box, and he just keeps giving me the parts. And he's like, "You want to do the review?"
Just
You know, the ramen racer that I did, that's his. He hasn't even
that's it.
seen it. He called me yesterday and said, "Hey, it's being delivered. I'm working today. I'll drop it off tomorrow." Then he
Wow.
messaged me. He messaged me back and says, "My girlfriend's there. If you want to just go pick it up." So he hasn't even seen it. I got it, popped it out, did the review, took some pictures, put it back in, and it's
You get
ready
back
for
to
him
him.
to go back.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But what were we saying?
Uh
Like I
oh,
hate.
I'm talking about the whale.
Yeah,
Like I
the
said,
whale. So
well, yeah,
he
well,
has
no.
he 3D prints stuff. He has a 3D printed whale.
How big
Uh,
is it?
it's big.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not as big as I thought it was going to be,
Oh wow.
but it's large. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not. Believe me, it is bigger than the his tank.
Yeah.
It's bigger than the vamp. It's large, not as large as I thought it was going to be. Now, this is what I've said about the whale. It'd be expensive,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is, it would be its own display, which I think would be okay
Hell
because you
yeah.
could use it as a vehicle, but you would be putting it on a table itself, but it houses so many characters and so many figures that it's going to be used as its own display. So I think it's something you could get away with.
With yeah. I saw a
And
couple of them on Etsy for like $1,200, which I think is
I couldn't even
crazy.
imagine how much it would be. I know I saw someone
Mm.
today that was he's printing up 3D printed his tanks and he's selling for 250 plus shipping.
Yeah.
And right before the his tank, right before we knew the his tank was going to be the HasLab, and that's what the rumor was. There was a guy that came out. He said mine has 3D. He's like, I'm selling these for 250, and mine has working treads. I know theirs isn't going. He went on and on and on. He kind of came off like an asshole, to be honest, the way. But when it came out that it was 300, when someone tells me the 3D printed hiss is to sell would be 250, I'm like, that's about right. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a 3D printer, but I just do like little things like shelves and desks and stuff like that. My buddy does a lot of other stuff, and what people don't realize, no one takes into account that it takes energy, the filament or the resin that you're using, the amount of times that it may fail. That's a
Yeah.
huge thing. And here's
Yeah.
another thing that no one wants to admit when it comes to people that are 3D printing. They don't want to just do it to be nice and be like, here you go.
Hmm.
Like, they want to make some profit off of it, right? Like,
Absolutely.
it's kind of, I mean, you are technically running a small little business. Uh,
Yeah,
but
and
nobody wants,
running that machine for that many hours, because I'm assuming that's going to put that machine in
yeah.
overtime to print something like that on that scale.
But I mean, I 3D printed a Skyhawk, and 3 times the engines failed at the exact same
Mhm.
point. That the
Yeah,
filament got stuck and it failed, and I had to redo it.
yeah,
It doesn't. It's not a lot of money, but again, if you think you're trying to print 6 or 7 of them to sell, every time something fails, you have to redo it,
mhm.
and no one cares about that. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you know,
I
you
had
gotta
gotten
do it.
a resin 3D printer because I was gonna 3D print
Yeah,
like weapons, like swords and what have you. Um, and it worked a few times. It was cool. I enjoyed the stuff that I printed out, but it failed more than it was successful. I noticed, and the cleanup with resin, it was just a disaster.
yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? I just 3D printing is not for me. But I can imagine if you're printing like stuff on a large scale, and as a business for multiple clients, I can only imagine how much plastic and how much time and effort that is.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand about gridiron. And
Yeah,
I was one of them in many ways. I would always say, hey, they really need to lower the prices. I think they make good product, but I think they need to lower the prices because you're looking at how many people want it, but they say the same thing. Then I
yeah,
got to know, Tony's Figs, who is friends with him. He lives out there, and he starts explaining a lot of stuff that I didn't realize. And then I talked to Mark, the owner, on one of my shows, and I had already started to change. I don't want to say change my attitude, but understand like these things are hand painted,
yeah,
but and everything's done in house, and and it's an actual business. But when I had him on, and he discussed like we're always trying to change our resin, we're always trying to be better. We're trying to stay ahead of 3D printing in general. They're not
mhm,
just talking about toys. He talked about a lot of different things. You start looking at it, and it's like, wow. I mean, you buy a new car and you want to put nice rims on it, you're going to pay a little bit more than you would for the stock ones because you that's what you want, and you want better tires, so you're going to spend
yeah,
it. So you're taking a nice car and you're making it look that much better, and that's how they look at it. And it's real easy to say, hey, GI Joe, Hasbro's doing a fine job with what they're putting out, but if you want to add something to it, some people don't think it's better.
yeah,
I'm not sure that the airborne loadout is better. It's different.
yeah.
And if you
I tend to like some of their stuff. I mean, I will agree with you in terms of the price at the time, but then once it came, and I was like, I did my due diligence on the company. I
Yeah.
understood like, oh, they're like, this is all hand stuff and 3D printed by them themselves. I was like, okay, I can understand because it was very a long wait. I noticed too
Yes.
for it, but then they
That's
sent such a nice email too, just apologizing for the wait and everything like that. So I appreciated all that stuff the way they handled it. But when it came, I loved my purchases or what I got. But
yeah.
I did notice some loadouts are odd. They're weird.
Yeah, some of them, some of them, in my opinion, don't work.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say don't work, but if you're trying to make one specific character, and I know one of the things that it is an issue in my opinion, and Tony's talked about it too, is that not everyone wants to pop and swap. They just want to put something on it.
Hmm.
Not everyone wants to paint something,
Yeah.
and that's what the owner has actually addressed. He's like, I don't. there's a lot of people that pop and swap. You kind of have to, but not everyone can custom paint. You can either paint or you can't. All right,
That's
I don't.
facts.
I
That's
don't want
facts.
to get in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that path. I'd rather pay someone. Maybe doing a boot where you got to do it all one color, but
Yeah.
when you look at some stuff that these customizers are doing, and it's like that's a skill that you just don't have. You know, it
Yeah.
takes time to learn it.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried my hand at customizing figures, and I did a couple of Conans from Masterverse He-Mans. Those are the
Yeah,
bodies I used. They came out well, but in terms of painting joints and stuff like that and all the rub, I have such an OCD about that I say, you know what, this ain't for me. I'll just pay somebody who's real talented.
I never said I did a custom. I would do kit bashing, and then I
Yeah,
finally
more what I would say I am too now. Yeah.
so I did the um, I took Snow Job's head and I put it on the Tiger Force Ricondo's body
Okay.
because
Nice.
that head was too good. And also, Snow Job, there's not that much Arctic, right?
I agree.
He's got to do some other stuff, but they gave you
Yeah.
two wonderful heads.
Yeah.
And they kept telling me, like, hey, you need to get this Windsor and Newton. It'll take off the tiger stripes. Well, I did a review on it so people can know because there's so many gatekeepers that don't, hey, how do we do this? And every
They don't
time I
tell you
hear
nothing.
someone say, nail polish or acetone, you hear a lot of customizers going, you have to be quick because that stuff will start burning through it.
Yeah.
Acetone cleans skateboard bearings, awesome. I don't know if I want to put it on my action figures.
Figures. Yeah.
So I did that, and once I did that, Tony's like, "That's your first custom. You showed how to take it off. You actually customized something. It
Yeah.
wasn't just a kit bash." And then I bought the Recondo loadout from Gridiron to go
Nice.
with it because I wasn't going to put on my Recondo. I
Yeah.
threw it on that. And now I have this custom, snow job that
Just no
so many
job.
people
Yeah.
have complimented me on. But the snow job head is just too good to
I
not
agree with that,
use.
by the way. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have gotten I got an extra Outback as well because I wanted to do the same thing, but I want to get the logo off his chest as well. So I am going to watch your custom video now.
It's actually sitting right here.
Okay.
So you got to find this Windsor and Newton.
Well, okay.
But watch the video
Yes, I will.
because you need this stuff. They've
Okay.
changed it. So they
Okay.
changed the formula. It doesn't take it off.
Oh.
So like this is an 8 ounce or 4 ounce bottle. The other thing was like a 50 ounce bottle. I'm like, I don't need a 50 ounce bottle.
Yeah.
All right, like I don't do enough, right?
Yeah.
So you can still find it. I found that at Joanne Fabrics.
Okay. All right. I got one right by me,
So
so I'm gonna go
yeah,
check that out.
Michaels has them, but whatever you do, either hit me up. I'll send you a picture. You need this
Yes.
stuff because
Yes.
the other stuff is Windsor and Newton. It's a new formula. Everything is the same, the SKU and everything, but it's formulated different. And I have a
Okay.
bottle, and let's just say that it doesn't do shit.
Doesn't do shit. Okay. Yeah. I say you're gonna have to school me and send me a picture or something just so I get
But
the right one.
it'll take that off right away.
Yes, because that's
And
what I
I'm,
wanted. That's what I wanted to do was get rid of that tire.
and I'm trying to think is he molded in orange plastic?
I think so.
Okay, as long as he's molded in orange plastic, because I made the mistake of trying to get rid of the hair on my second mutt because I
Oh.
wanted to get rid of like the hair there. So when I got my custom Roman in, but it didn't dawn on me that the the his skin tone was actually
Intone.
painted on because
Oh, jeez.
he's green, and it just took a little. You can't even tell unless someone pointed it out,
Yeah.
Uh, but I was like, damn it, I didn't think
Oh,
about
yeah.
that
Oh
because I'm
man.
not a customizer, right?
Yeah. Listen, you got to make those mistakes. That's how you become a good one, bud.
Yeah, I know how to review things, and people don't even think I do that well.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because what led you to YouTube to start your channel? So when did that happen?
Cool.
What was the beginning of A Punk with Toys?
So it wasn't always a punk with toys.
Okay, good. I'm glad you brought that up. What was it before that?
Um, it was just my name.
Okay.
So it was just my name. Uh, and my early videos are awful. I leave them up because I think everyone should be able to go back and see where they
Where you
started
started.
from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm not naive to know kind of where I am right now in the realm. I know I've become fairly popular. People know
Yeah.
who I am, but I don't want people to be like tune in and be like, "Oh, I was always making videos like this." I I was in my basement at times behind the bar. I was at the at my kitchen table, and you would see me literally walk in the frame, introduce myself from a ways away. I'm not seeing anything. I just aimed it right there, not realizing I could cut this. I literally walking into frame. Uh, it was awful, and you couldn't see anything. There was no good sound because I was just talking to a phone that was
Mm.
probably 5 feet away. Um, what it was, in all honesty, was uh, Classified had come out. I just stumbled upon Classified, and I had ordered them. And the thing that I had noticed when I was looking online to see if it was something I wanted to get into was no one was comparing them to the O rings.
Oh wow.
And that first wave was Cobra Commander, Duke, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Roadblock, um, Destro, and I had all the O rings.
Oh okay.
And so I started just comparing them. Now, again, if you go back and watch, you'll notice I'm here like, the people couldn't see shit. All right, like I didn't know any better. um, but that was it. I started just comparing them, and even if you go back to those early classified, you'll see that there are little things that I didn't know. I didn't know who Lenny was. I didn't know what the classified team was. I had not gone down the road of understanding toys and how toys are made.
Yeah.
Now, I did from working at a skate shop years before that and just being really into skateboarding, understood, skateboarding. So you realize, oh, it's an industry that's very similar to that. You know, decks are made a certain way, wheels are made a certain way, trucks are made a certain way. Toys are the same way. I didn't realize there's so much drama in this, so much infighting. But it was comparing them because I hadn't seen anyone do it. If I want to say it was this week actually that I said something about comparing the figures, and I'm like, I probably should keep that to myself because someone else is finally going to go, hey, wait a minute.
Mm.
This is like the only guy that really compares it to the O rings.
Oh yeah.
But I will say, if you go back and look at those early ones, the early Beachhead and stuff, you start to see little things that you did not realize. And they followed, like Roadblock was version 2. Well, if you look at it, you can see different points that they used from the O ring. They did the same thing, obviously. Snake Eyes is very close, but Duke, you can see it.
Okay.
Scarlet, you can see it. Destro, really, you can really see it. Cobra Commander, not so much, but you start to see it. Nowadays, the figures are so close that it doesn't even matter, right?
Matter, yeah.
Some of them are so close that I don't even really need to get the O-ring out other than to say, hey, look how close it is now.
Yeah.
But it was little things that were being pointed out.
Who is the who's the if you had to who's the closest to each other?
Of the original ones,
Yeah.
well, it'd have to be Snake Eyes. It'd have to be Snake Eyes
Okay.
or Destro. They
Okay.
were so they were so close because they even did Snake Eyes sword right.
Oh wow, okay.
But it's stuff like Beachhead here. I just happen to have Beachhead because hopefully we'll be getting the figures in.
The retro one, yeah.
But the one thing that I didn't know is that this is a red beret. That's
Oh
why they
Tucker.
gave it. That's why they gave him a red beret. Because everyone's like, who puts a red beret? Who puts a beret over their balaclava?
Yeah.
Well, he
Oh,
has one.
okay.
And on the back, you have his crossbow. They made sure they gave him the crossbow that was removable. Duke, actually, the Duke backpack that he comes with, the retro one, same with Airborne, has the shovel.
Double,
So they took those cues and people didn't even realize it.
yeah. Is it? Yeah.
And even when you looked at the original Scarlet, just certain lines were very similar to the original O-ring.
Oh wow.
So that was the whole reason that I actually got into starting to. Hold on, I dropped the beachhead gun. um, that was the whole reason why I had started, and then I just started like if I had something else, I would do a little review, and then
When did you start to notice that you were like, oh wait a minute, my channel is kind of garnering some traffic now?
I can tell you exactly when. So I had started doing some reviews, and I ran into Greg, the guy that gives me all the stuff to review,
Oh, okay,
and he
okay.
started any 3D print stuff, and we started running into each other at the at Target and stuff like that when we were actually hunting, and I saw these Valaverse figures,
Okay.
and I was really interested, but this is going to tell you how naive I was. $32 seemed way too much for an action figure that I didn't know anything about.
No, I get that because sometimes I'm very wary
Yeah,
when it's third party. I don't. I kind of
you
stray
know,
away.
yeah, and I didn't know. I mean, I didn't really know what BBTS was. I mean, I learned BBTS in Entertainment Earth, and
Yeah.
so, but and this was before Valaverse. I mean, you could order them on BBTS, but they weren't. That shipping container was stuck somewhere. Who knows where? They took forever to get theirs. And Greg said, he goes, I have them if you want to review them. Now, he had already had them open. This was before I started doing reviews how I do them now.
Okay.
I still kind of did them the same way. I had still done them the same way, but that was out of not knowing any better.
Okay.
I continued, and it evolved a little as I realized people liked that look because they weren't getting that. So he said, hey, if you want to review these, you can review it. Now, I had already reviewed probably all the classified that had come out thus far because I have every classified.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've just been lucky. I've actually only paid. Uh, I paid I think $35 for Destro on eBay. I've never paid
Okay.
more for any than retail.
Nice.
It's just been
Good.
a lot of it's been luck and
Yeah.
just look. And you go, oh, hey, well, this is when they drop stuff. I have to take 20 minutes away from my time around lunchtime and you
Pre-order.
know order this.
Yeah.
So when it came to Valaverse, all that I heard was they're the greatest figures ever, or they're the biggest pieces of shit ever. And I'm like, it can't be one or the other. It's not even possible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, nothing in life is we're one. I mean, there was no middle ground, and he's like, hey, yeah, you can review them if you want. Now, I had already done some reviews and stuff, so I'm like, all right, cool. And at that point, and if you go back and watch them, I was probably still introducing myself, my Instagram as Punk Rock Skate Dad, because that's my personal one,
Okay.
which is now private. So if you
Obviously.
want to
Yeah.
follow me, I don't ever post anything. I almost always forget it, especially have to have two of these because of the dick ass Viper Island. Um, um, so it was before I had even changed it, and it got traction because it was the first time, and I'm sure there were some others. I'm not going to say the first time, but it was the first time that a lot of people were saying, I haven't seen anyone just kind of have an honest opinion of these. Everyone
Yeah.
just says they're pieces of shit, they're awful, or oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever. And I can tell you they were a little stiff.
I
Okay.
agree.
Um, I didn't know about heating up,
Yeah. I
but
agree.
I didn't know about heating up, but come to find out, heating figures in this collector community is normal.
I
It's
didn't know
not.
that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. And what I came across when I did those was that the positives outweigh the negatives. That the figures were actually pretty good. I had a few issues with the wrists breaking, and I had ordered all the stuff from BBTS after that. So
Okay.
it didn't like deter me. I did the
Yeah.
review. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to get this. I really wanted Condor because Condor looked like Airborne,
Hmm.
and I needed an Airborne. And don't let anyone fool you. Condor is Airborne.
Okay. I will say this: I jumped off the Valaverse cliff probably around the same time you did, and I got the Swarm figures with the like
Yep.
fishbowl heads because I was
Yep.
just looking to army build at the time, and I just kind of saw them on BBTS. So I was like, all right, let me just see these Valaverse. I didn't know what was going on. I always just equated them to like the GoBots for Transformers, but they were like the GoBots for GI Joe. To me, it
That's
was
kind of how I felt.
okay. So I was like, all right, well, let's give these a shot. They seem to maybe pair well. Let's the 112, whatever. So they came, and that's where I encountered that problem with the wrists, where I was trying to switch
Yep.
hands, and the fucking things just wouldn't come out. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then, obviously, you go to YouTube, and I find out that you have to heat the figure up. And my thing was, well, if you gotta tell people that they have to heat their figures up, like this is like, I mean, okay, I mean, I'll do it. Like it's fine, and I did buy a ton more. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna tell you, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, but that was my thing where I was just like, I mean, I sometimes I think figures, if you're gonna spend that kind of money, they should be
Yeah.
ready made.
Yeah. Well, and you think so, but then you realize Mythic Legions tell you,
Mm,
and that's a $50 figure with less
yeah,
articulation.
much less. Yeah,
Um, and again, I'll say this: one of the biggest issues when you look back, and I've done a lot of watching and research, was when the owner was saying, you shouldn't have to heat your figures up. No one should say that a brand new line should have to heat their figures up, and then every single one of his figures had to. It gave more fuel to the fire for a lot of people to come in
yeah,
and attack. Uh, but that was that was, in my opinion, that was the turning point of, okay, you're not just doing GI Joe, but you're doing this because you have all these O-rings. And at
mm,
that point, I saw every O-ring that I could compare them to.
yeah,
Now I jumped into this, and I had seen some sort of controversy. Some people telling me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and then the next comment was, uh, you know, that I'm a hater, and then the next comment is, "Oh, you just love them," and it's like, wait a minute, what video? Did you come into the right video? Because the person above you just said I'm yeah, I'm a fucking show. Now you're saying all I do is love, I'm a
yeah.
hater. Um, and that's when I decided I needed to change my name. And I had to think of something. And I wanted something that was punk related.
Hell yeah,
And it was just kind of like a punk with toys. I wanted to lose the skater because when you started looking at it, like it didn't make sense because I was doing nothing skate. Originally, I was going to be like, oh, I'm going to put anything I record on YouTube, my skateboard stuff. Okay, no one wants to see a 40-year-old that is, people go, wow, you're really good for a 40-year-old, and it's like, does that mean I would suck for a 20-year-old?
oh,
And then and again, I was doing two different things. I
yeah.
was single at the time. I still am single. That's a whole different story. But my kid's mother and we had split up, so I had this extra time.
Okay.
But skateboarding is my other thing, and I was doing that a lot, and I really wanted to separate the two. So I thought about it. I came up with a Punk with Toys. You can still see my original logo that my daughter did. It's
Oh, right on.
really, really, it was the American flag. It was basically the GI Joe, and she did what she could
Yeah.
on her phone at age, I don't know, 11, better than 11 or 12, better than her dad can do. We'll just say
Yeah.
that. And then we made some modifications to it, and I still use it, but it's still. And then she made the new logo, which is the Vision Streetwear logo. So
Oh,
if
right
any
on, dude.
any old skateboarders, they look, and I've had a lot of people compliment me on it. And
Yeah, I remember Vision skateboards. I remember those.
yeah, I said, "Can you do this?" A Punk with Toys fit perfectly in it. She did it. I'm like, "Thank you very much."
Hell yeah.
Um, but that was, again, that Valaverse. That was the turning point, in my opinion. And then it, it evolved because I saw people like this, seeing things being done right away. Like, this is how it is. None of the frills and everything. Um, and it's wonderful that there's other guys that are doing that. But
Yeah.
I mean, how long does it take you to get those 8, 9 poses that you did? Was it something really easy, or were you there for 3 hours? Um, and then I think the big thing that kicked it off was the Tiger, the Tiger review, where people got to hear me get more and more pissed as the review went on from Super 7.
I,
I wish I was monetized at the time. That's just it. I wish I was monetized at that time, because that one just pissed me off so bad. Just
now, was that your first and last Super 7, or how did that work for you?
no. So I had got the two. I had got Lionel and Panther.
Yeah, because Lion-O was my first and last.
Yeah, so I got
Yeah.
Lionel and Panther, and I was like, they're okay. And then people said those were off the Mattel book. So now I had to do some research and figure out, like, oh, okay, they bought the rights to do these, and then they bought the rights off of, or they bought the molds off of Mattel.
Oh, okay.
That's why you see those big pin joints and everything. That's why
Yeah.
it's actually why the articulation is different.
Oh.
Now I love the Thundercats, but they were coming out with the GI Joe line, and I wanted to get them, but I was like, before I go all, and I pre-ordered everything off BBTS. Thank God that Super 7 takes 8 years to deliver a figure. Well, I saw the Tiger was coming, so I ordered the Tiger. I'm like, hey, you know what? If this isn't theirs and this one's good, I got it, and it was awful. It was
Oof.
so bad. The paint bled through. I didn't even realize it was missing an elbow pad that he's supposed to have,
Oh, wow.
and then the lack of articulation. Now, come to
Yeah.
find out, that's how Super 7 is, right? Super 7
Yeah.
has, and I just think that's awful, because I can deal with Mythic Legions having a lack of articulation because of the paint is amazing, the sculpt is amazing, the figures are awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I'm paying for. But I'm paying the same price, if not more, for a Super 7, and I get pissed, right? And then when I heard Brian Flynn in his rebuttal to it, it was a big fu to everyone that bought them.
Oh,
Like, no,
yeah.
you don't do that. Like, I'm sorry. But then Chitara, I'm like, all right, I got it. I might as well get Chitara. And here's a cat. She's, she's supposed to be basically a gymnast, and she has less articulation than a fucking reaction figure. And I'm like, so I was still like, all right, the Super 7 um, SDCC Bat exclusive. You can watch that video; it's still up there. People are like, that one gives me a riot. I said, nope, never again. Nope. Uh, it was SDCC exclusive, but then they had some left, so I ordered from Super 7. It was $65. I paid almost $20 in shipping and handling. After I ordered it, it took them over a month to ship it.
Oh,
Then it went
Jesus.
up on BBTS and Entertainment Earth in stock. Then I get it, and it's missing something on it. It's super flimsy. I moved the leg and uh, the holster, the strap for the holster breaks because it's.
Oh, God.
I was just like, no, forget it. Never buying another. I'm not saying I'll never buy another figure like that, because if it's some obscure thing, like I'm
Yeah.
waiting for the Stitch to go on clearance, because my daughter
Okay.
loves Stitch.
Stitch. Okay. Okay.
So, but that she wouldn't be playing with it. It wouldn't be. But to me, it was like, these things are out of scale for for classified. I can't even use them. So even the ones that I might like, but
Yeah.
then you just see the horrendous issues that they've had, and his response is really what that bothers me. Oh
No.
well, what are you gonna do? I don't
Yeah.
know. You have people that are spending $55 on this, and it's not what you showed off.
Yeah. I got the reissued Lion-O, because I remember the first one was
Yep.
sold out, so they remade him. He came. I took him out of box. I always take my things out of box because I play with my toys.
Yeah, that's what they're
Um,
for.
yeah. So exactly. He showed up. I took him out of the box, and I just was not impressed. because I love, I'm like you, I love Thundercats.
Yeah.
And I wanted to jump off that cliff so badly. But when that thing came, I was like, not think I think I'll stay put right where I am. I think I'll just
I
continue classifieds and everything.
I sold mine really quickly.
Yeah,
I think, but not really. I had them for about 6 months, and then I sold them. People told me now that the Tiger is actually worth a lot of money.
yeah, he is.
But
Yeah,
oh well.
yeah,
I had a lot of things that would have been worth a lot of
a lot
money.
of money. That's true.
You know, all my vintage Star Wars figures that GI Joe killed, popping off
Yeah.
their heads. Um, so I'll get over it.
What would you if I put a gun to your head right now and said your favorite figure in that toy room right now
In
that
this room right now,
yeah, or in your collection,
my
in your entire
collection,
collection, someone's like, what is the Grail piece in a
flag.
Punk with Toys' collection?
This is a flag.
The flag. All right, right
Yes,
on. Was that your flag from when you were
it
a
was my
kid?
childhood flag.
Or
So it was
right on.
something that I got before my mom passed away.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there's that to it.
Yeah, yeah.
There is that. I had the flag as a kid.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
Not
sure.
not oh yeah, I have that, but it's at my grandparents' house. Oh, you really? I have mine. You want to go fucking play with it right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, we can't move it anywhere because it's a fucking door stopper.
Yeah.
It's a giant paperweight. All right. um, that I mean, again, that would be number one. I mean, everyone's heard the story that's ever watched any of my streams or my videos. Eventually,
Oh yeah.
the story of the 8 shipwrecks come up.
No. Yeah.
But and it goes back again. It's not just that it is a massive toy that very few people have, but it was mine as my childhood, and it was something that I got, for Christmas, before my mom passed away.
It has very, very sentimental value to you.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of other toys, but this you don't forget getting the largest
Yeah.
toy ever made.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's a straight up fact, brother. For real. Because that
And
thing, I remember my friend had that thing, and I was in awe of it when I would see it.
and when people say that they want a HasLab version, and I've had people like get snotty with me. I'm like, have you ever seen one in person? And they're like, yeah, I've seen one in person. I'm like, a lot of people haven't,
Yeah.
but it's not just 7.5 feet long. It's like 3 feet wide and almost 3 feet high.
Yeah. It's big.
So it's not just long; it's also extremely wide and high. And if you
Yeah.
made one today, you'd have to, even if you did a 1/18th one. I remember the Full Force was talking about it because they said it's never going to be done. And Patrick Stewart on there, he made a really good point. He said if they made one today, it would have to be at least 8 feet long because you couldn't make it smaller than the original, right?
Yeah.
If you're asking people to back this dream project, you'd have to make it smaller. You'd have to create, decks underneath it
Hmm.
so you can actually store vehicles. So it's going
Yeah.
to be way taller. And again, going back to, I don't think people have actually stood by it, tried to put it in a room and be like, okay, so it's in here. How do I actually get around it? And you're like, that's for you to figure out. I'm 5'4".
Well, all right. So if that's your, I would consider that your Grail piece. Then what
Yeah.
would be right now at the current state of all action figures? What's your favorite figure?
Oof, man. I think there's so many. It makes it so hard.
Nobody can ever answer this question, by the way.
My figure of the year, well, my classified figure of the year 2 years ago
Okay.
was Storm Shadow.
Okay. Yeah,
Last
I love
year,
that figure.
I believe he came in second place because they did the retro card, and I
Yeah.
was like, if he was good enough to be the best figure of the year before, he still belongs this high up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that figure is awesome, and same with like the retro Snake Eyes. Um, I think they're just really good figures. I think the Storm Shadow is really good just because you can get them in wonderful poses, and you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about, as great as that Mezco looks. Better not have chocolate on your hand for one thing.
Yeah. I was listening to I think it was Woody was talking about how white
Yes,
That
he's
that
very white,
yeah, like, and he's
but he's very
unafraid.
frustrating because all the parts like
Yeah.
pop off him. Um,
Oh.
I just think the classified are so good because you know you're paying 25 to 30 bucks for them, in most of them, and I'm not going to say all of them. They're using the same articulation, and
Mhm.
it's you can get a lot of articulation, a lot of poses out of them. They're not perfect, that's for sure.
No, yeah, no,
But
I don't think any figure is though.
no, and again,
Yeah.
when you finally get a perfect figure, I think we're done, right?
Yeah. For
Would
real.
you always be a little bit better?
Yeah.
So, personally, I don't know. It's hard because there's so much. It reminds me of when anytime someone tries to do the Mount Rushmore of anything,
Mhm.
like what's the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers? Mount Rushmore's, it is it is something false because Mount Rushmore is four presidents, and remember, a president serves at least for 4 years, if
Nah.
not longer. How many presidents did you have to choose from? You can't choose the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers because just too many. Or
That's
GI
fact.
Joe.
It's fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just too many, and I think that's kind of where we're coming. Like you said, no one
Yeah.
can seem to answer that.
Yeah. Because
I
everybody's
think
always
that's
talking about, especially now Marvel Legends too. It's like it was always like a new line that always like steps up their game. It's just like, oh
yeah.
wait a minute, now it just got better than the last time.
The the Target exclusive Black Widow is one of the best figures.
Yeah.
I have her. She's sitting over there.
Was that the one that came with all the stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
for like 28 bucks,
Yeah, I
and so
remember
you
that. Yeah.
can do it cheap, huh? Uh,
It's facts.
but the NECA Elf figure is awesome. I love that figure.
Now you said you're into gargoyles.
Yes.
You have them all so far?
No, well, I have them all except for there's a the Renew Your Vows. No, sorry. The Renew Your Vows is a Spider-Man pack.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
Vows pack of um, Demona and Goliath,
Oh wow.
but it's the same bodies. It's the same bucks,
Mm,
uh, and they changed the head sculpt. So rather than changing the head, they do it like the females did, where they can just put
the
a new
face.
face over them, but
Okay.
you still have the same head. It's like $70. I'm like, it's the exact same buck. I
Yeah.
already have three versions of that Goliath buck, two versions of the Demonia because Angelica, right?
Angela, I think you're right.
Yeah. Um, she's the same buck.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't, and the faces are the same faces. They're just done differently. Where rather than popping off the head, you're just putting a new
Oh,
face
face.
on,
Yeah.
and it comes with like I don't know keys or ring. I forget what it was. I'm like, I'm not paying that.
My biggest complaint about those were the wings, where you had to like buy other figures to get like the cross
Well,
wings.
they did that because everyone complained about the wings, how big they were.
You know, they were because I have Goliath, and
Yes,
I got the dog just to get the clothes
Bronx.
things. Yeah, yeah, and then I
Um,
was like, oh, they're all like this.
yeah. See, the wings didn't bother me because I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
The wings are not the problem. It's the tails.
Yes, that's true too.
The
Yes.
tails, when you try and move one, because you have to use that tail as the tripod.
Yeah.
Those things are not standing without it.
Yeah.
I'm able to. I have no problem for the most part. Now, as I get more of the draped wings, I put them on them and I kind of get rid of the big wings.
Yeah.
But with the wings up, as long as you have an open, usually on top of a shelf, you can move them. You can work the wings, move it around. But then when you try and move that tail, and next thing you know, you've just done the dominoes and took them
And
all
just
out.
knocked them all
Son of
down.
a
Yeah.
bitch! It's not the wings that's the problem. It's a fucking tail. Um, but I mean, I really like them. I don't even remember the cartoon. I watched it, but I don't remember
I
it.
was a giant fan of the cartoon, loved it. And so when the figures came out, I was ready to jump all in on the line, but I saw like the wings, the tail, like you said, they take up a lot of space. And
Yes,
basically what I was noticing. So I was just like, I don't know. And they're pretty pricey. They're not like cheap.
they're
They run
40
like
bucks.
40
And
bucks, yeah.
but see, I don't think that's that bad.
No, for the size and
Yeah,
what they give you, I'm like, all right, you get your. That's why I got Goliath and Bronx.
yeah,
But then I was like, well, if you would have just given me the cross wings too, I would
yeah,
have jumped completely off, no problem, and bought them all. But because it's like, oh, now I have to buy this to get these wings, and then this one to get these wings. I was like, I don't like that snow job thing you're making me do, where I have to buy all these
yeah.
toys.
It almost feels like they just. It almost feel like the draped wings were an afterthought.
I think so
People
too.
started
Yeah,
complaining. My biggest issue with people complaining about the wings are not people that are like, I really want to get those, but I don't have space. It's the people that bought a couple and they're like, the wings are just too big. And it's like, you
yeah,
saw the fucking wings before.
yeah,
Right? You know they're fucking big. Don't
yeah.
start bitching about them now that they don't fit on the shelves. You
Yeah.
knew how much space they were going to take.
Because they take up a lot of space, man. Because I have Goliath on my shelf, but I got the draped wings now.
Yeah.
But I liked it so much because it looked awesome. Because he was like, when I was a kid, I was mesmerized by that cartoon, and
It's
and to me, I'll be honest with you, I wish they would bring it back, but keep it where they were like all around when they were on the castle. Like,
yeah.
they have that brief little stint where on the castle and they get cursed or whatever.
Yep.
I would have loved a show set then because I thought that
Oh,
was
like not in this day and age.
yeah in medieval times
Yes.
when they were on the castle and stuff.
See,
Yeah, I thought
that's, I mean, you could do so many different things like that.
oh hell yeah yeah.
And you could have so many different characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, and this is totally off topic, but you had me on, so you knew this would happen. Um, when I look at Batman Beyond, I'm like,
Okay.
there's, in my opinion, there's two people that should ever don the cowl. It's Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson.
Okay.
If Bruce Wayne decides not to be, Batman anymore, it should be Dick Grayson. That's just my opinion. Except when you get to Batman Beyond,
Yond.
because it's so far beyond where Dick Grayson wouldn't be able to be a Batman, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Terry McGinnis, but you're able to just take a whole. They were able to do so much stuff that nobody knew anything about. Like, all
I
right, it's all new storylines. We don't have to worry about the lore.
uh,
All you have is Bruce Wayne, who is now the Alfred, but he
yeah,
is the mentor, right? But you don't have to explain Joker and Penguin and all these other figures.
yeah.
You have all these other characters. You can
It
do the
opens up
exact same with
the
Gargoyle.
universe to a whole new set of bad guys. You're making
Yeah,
a whole new rogues gallery for a new Batman, essentially.
yeah. So if you
'Cause
did gargoyles going back
yeah,
in time, all you have to do is make sure at the end of it that you have this core of gargoyles that survive being destroyed.
Droid, exactly. I remember Batman Beyond. I refused to jump off the cliff because I was the same way as you. The only person who could be Batman is Bruce Wayne. So when I found out that it was somebody completely different, I was like, no, no. So I watched that recently in my
Oh,
adulthood. And when I watched it and I saw that first episode where how powerful that scene was where as Batman he takes a gun out and he's about to
yes.
kill the and I was just like, whoa. I was like, this was a cartoon. I was like, okay. I was like, I didn't realize the level of storytelling that was involved until I watched it as an adult. I appreciate it now, obviously, but I didn't appreciate it as a kid.
I loved it from day one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that hold that
Yeah,
cartoon in very high regard,
I
man.
loved it from day one. And
Yeah,
again, I think again I will stand by. Like, there's two people that should ever be
yeah.
Batman. It's Bruce Wayne, and the only reason why I would say Dick Grayson is because he was being groomed eventually to take the
To
mantle,
tell,
right?
yeah, yeah, he was.
Because
Yeah,
you've heard in comics and different, like, Bruce Wayne has basically said, like, you're the only one that's equal to me. Like, he only looks at Dick Grayson as his equal, not even Superman, right?
yeah.
But again, Terry McGinnis is completely different. And
Mm.
there's the one episode with Batman Beyond where they're uh, he's he's having a conversation with him, and Bruce says something, and he goes, but you're not Batman anymore. And he says something like, he goes, like, tell that to my alter ego, or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, again, if you know anything about Batman, Bruce Wayne is his alter ego,
There you go.
not
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah. He's
And
yeah.
when you put that into context, and it's like, oh, his mask is when he becomes Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
He's
Yeah,
the only superhero that's like that.
yeah. That's why I love Batman. That's
Yeah,
one of I love that guy so much, man. And like I said, the cartoon I'll give it its respect because as a kid, I refused. Whenever someone would bring it up, I would always knock it, troll it, whatever you want to call it. And then when I got older and I watched it, I could watch it with a same thing with the GI Joe cartoons too. As a kid, I don't really retain the messages and all this stuff until you watch it as an adult and you're like, oh, these are good messages. It's really good stuff. Because like I said, as a kid, I'm not really paying attention. You're playing with toys. It's like background noise. A lot of
Yes,
the times
you
for
know,
me.
you're so dead on.
Yeah.
Uh, GI Joe and all that stuff was really, it was awesome because you had this head canon, and most of
Yeah.
my head canon is from the comic is what led to my head canon, not the
Okay.
cartoon where a lot of other people. But I've
Yeah.
talked to a few people, especially some of the guys overseas. When I do my Thursday show, and some of them didn't see Star Wars,
Oh wow.
so they had Star Wars figures. And I remember asking Usual Mike, he was one of them. There was someone else too. I said, so you had never really seen it. So you were able just to do whatever you want with your Star Wars figures. And he's like, yeah, there wasn't any canon yet. And I was like, I don't think most of us could do that.
Mm.
Star Wars is this really weird, at least growing up for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure how old you are.
I am 41.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
48. So,
Yeah.
I lived through Jedi. I saw Jedi 7 times at the movie theater, right?
Wow. Right on.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing the other two. Obviously, I didn't see Star Wars. I don't know if I saw Empire, and if I did, I was a kid, and
Yeah.
I was literally an infant. But I remember playing it, and it was just like you had to play exactly what happened in the movie.
Movies.
There was no altering from it.
Yeah.
Where GI Joe, Transformers, He-Man, all that stuff, you could do whatever you wanted. But
Yeah.
Star Wars to this day is just one of those things, in my opinion. It's like maybe you could now because they've done so much to ruin what the original was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, no, this is what happens. Han gets frozen in carbonite. End of story. Luke goes to Dagobah. He becomes a Jedi. End of story. You couldn't veer away from it. Now,
Yeah.
luckily, they gave us the play sets and everything to go do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
But I remember Usual Mike was one of them, and there was at least one other person that was like, "No, I had never seen it, so I did whatever I wanted."
What with them? Wow.
And
I was as a kid. I had a wild imagination. I was always willing to cross things over, even as a kid. Like so, to me, I would always be like, if I had Star Wars, but it had to scale correctly. I was a fucking like I said, I had OCD even as a kid. So if like
I get the scale. I definitely get the
yeah,
scale.
so like I would maybe play with GI Joes and Star Wars because they kind of maybe that's what Power of the Force
Yeah.
would come in scale because I play with toys way up. I didn't give a fuck. I had like no shame in my game, bro. So I just if they didn't scale right, I couldn't do it. But I just remember that, and I'm like, oh man, Luke Skywalker could have came to Earth by accident, in a wormhole, and then things like that. But
I don't think I could have
but
done that.
but here's the thing: where you come in is just, he comes in with the same backstory. Like the
Yeah.
backstory doesn't change. He went to Dagobah, he became a Jedi, and now he's here as a Jedi. So I wouldn't change the backstory, but I would always be open to potentially crossing over.
See, I had the snow speeder, and
Okay.
I think the snow speeder is one of the coolest looking vehicles.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, this is gonna go on the aircraft carrier, and it like hit the aircraft carrier, and you're like, no, it does not belong there. That should not be there. That doesn't look right. It should never be there. That's how bad. That's how bad it was. Now,
No,
what's
I get it.
crazy is that as my son was growing up, I gave him the aircraft carrier to play with,
Okay.
and he was a huge Avengers fan. So we had 4-inch Avengers, and he would ask me the longest time. He'd say, "Hey, do you care if I act like this is the helicarrier?"
The carrier. Yeah.
I'm like, "Hell no! It's your imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
You imagine that there's 4 turbines on it or whatever they were called, right, to make
Yeah.
it fly."
Hell yeah. You know what? Honestly, I'm right there with your son. I would have probably done the same thing.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
didn't have that lore for like the GI Joe. Like he didn't
Yeah.
get it. But to me, and I always look at that as like, what other kid actually had an aircraft carrier to act like it was the helicarrier.
Helicarrier. Hell
Of
yeah.
course, you can't move it. It just sits there. All
It
right.
just sits there.
This is where it's at. Okay. You don't get a bed in your room. You get this.
I wouldn't have complained. I'll tell you that right now.
Thing is so big.
Oh my goodness. Now, how I know a lot of people can't answer this one either, but I always ask it. How long do you think you'll be collecting? Do you think is the shelf life on it, or do you think it's gonna go until the wheels fall off?
I think it's to the end. I think when you're a collector, you're a collector. Whether
Yeah.
if I was to transition to something else, uh, and I look back at when I was younger, and I used to take everyone's old skateboards and I would hang them on my wall. I
Okay.
didn't realize that I was collecting the skateboards.
Skateboards. Yeah.
I always had my GI Joes out for the most part. I was a skateboarder in the late '80s, early '90s. When you say there's no shame in your game, there was no one more hated than us. And I'm a punk rocker at that. So, it's like
Yeah.
I my tomahawk, my tomahawk, and my night raven, which are my original. They have a screw in it. So I drilled a little hole and then I put one of those,
High
um,
hooks.
yeah, in it
Mm-hmm.
so I could hang it from the ceiling.
Sailing. Yeah. Hell
It
yeah.
was up there all through high school.
Yeah.
Now you're kind of looking at it more of a display, um, and I didn't play with the stuff,
Hmm.
but I was always displaying stuff, and you're with a bunch of skateboarders. They didn't care. Like we would go in and
Yeah.
look at toys, and I always looked at toys. But I think a lot of us transition to, and I ask a lot of people on my show about comics, and I think a lot of people transition to comics to collect because easier to hide and also wasn't looked at as much of being a dork because you're
Hmm.
actually reading.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
but
book. Like
yeah,
you can get away with buying books, toys.
yeah. But even as an adult, when I wasn't really collecting, and I've never cared. Like I'm not gonna say the girls that I've been with long term liked it, but they understood it. But
Yeah.
I collected DVDs. I,
Okay.
I so I'm always collecting.
Yeah. You always
Something.
got that bug in you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think if you're a collector, you're a collector. You're going to find something to collect
Hell yeah.
because
It's very true.
something messed up with their minds.
Yeah. I always tell when people ask me, it's always because, at least for toys, because I was a collector in the same way as you were. Like I was, it was always something.
Yeah,
Like I was telling my wife today about it. Like it started out the toys, and then once you get older, you get into the teen years, it has to become something else. It can't be toys no more.
records,
Yeah,
DVDs.
it became wrestling. So it was all wrestling magazines. It was wrestling memorabilia through the teens until I got into the wrestling business. And
Sports. Look at the people that collect sports.
exactly, sports cards. Like I started collecting
Yeah,
basketball cards. Yeah,
you
and
didn't get
then
beat up
like,
for that though.
oh yeah, yeah. And then once I got older and I just didn't give a shit no more. I went right back to toys because then it was like these toys look so awesome now that I have to have them.
There,
That's where it was in my head.
when someone says they're little pieces of art, you're like, that is stupid, and then you're like, no, you're right.
No, it's true. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you're
yeah,
right. But when you first hear it, you're like, that's really stupid to say.
yeah. Yeah.
They're toys, and then you're looking at them and you're like, holy shit! I mean, look at
Mhm.
this guy's teeth and his eyes, and
Yeah, the goddamn head sculpt. Holy shit, this thing looks
yeah,
real. Yeah, that,
and, and, and you
my
criticize
mindset.
one when it's bad.
Yes,
Like you're criticizing a fucking piece of plastic because Falcon's head looks awful, and you're like, I can't believe someone would do that. That is awful, and it's like, it's a piece of plastic.
I tend to like when I looked at that Falcon figure, I just go, that's just Charles Bronson without the mustache. And then like I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Like he looks fine. Just like not all guys can be Robert Redford. I mean, come on.
Oh, it's so bad,
Yeah,
and they
no,
know
it
it,
is.
and they know it, so
Yeah.
it's being
For
rectified.
me, though, I noticed it was art when I started making dioramas.
I
And
can
now
see that.
I'm sculpting and I'm creating a world for this 6-inch plastic thing. And I step back and I'm taking a picture of it. I'm like, holy, like this is art. Like when you break it all down, the figure itself, like you just, it's a little sculpt of a person.
Yep.
Then I'm taking it to the next level. Now making a world for this person. So I'm sculpting and making shit myself. And now I'm taking a photograph. and you're gonna put it in Photoshop and fuck with it in Photoshop. So it's like the process, each process is an art form in itself. But you don't, like I said, when you get that toy, you're not thinking that
That's
until
exactly right.
until like the finished product. You're like, whoa, holy shit, that's a piece of art now.
I can say that I was actually thinking before. I was sitting here before, a little before, you messaged me with the link here, and I'm just like, I never thought I'd be sitting here with like, I probably have 200 classified figures.
Yeah.
'Cause I got a lot of doubles and some obviously army buildings.
Yeah.
And that's classified. I'm talking. I mean, all the other. I'm like, I never saw it getting to this point.
Yeah.
And I've been one of the biggest proponents of saying that, hey, eventually people are not going to want the 6-inch vehicles because they take up too much
The
space.
space. Yeah.
But the more and more that I start getting deeper into it, I'm noticing, because I'm always like, first, I don't understand inbox collectors, but if you're an inbox collector, you're displaying it normally. I don't understand people.
Mm.
I really don't understand people that are putting it in bins, because that means you're probably buying it as an investment. Let me tell you, it is a dumb investment.
Yeah. Facts.
Right? Do not buy toys as an investment.
Yeah.
You're lucky if one goes up and you can make a couple $100 off of it.
Bucks over. Yeah.
But the more I watched, I'm like, well, some people are just displaying it static. I do some static poses, but most of them are like in a battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I started noticing, wait a minute, these people want vehicles because they're out doing photography.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you start getting a whole new look at that. And it's like, and then I start taking pictures. And
Yeah.
I get that one picture that looks good. Or my moderator, actually both my moderators do photography, but Matthew, he's the one I was talking to the most, and he was like, that picture looks really good.
Good. Yeah.
If you know who Leanne Hobbs is,
I think so.
she does wonderful. She actually, today, she posted one of my pictures, and she's
Oh,
like,
right
this is a
on.
cool picture, and she put it on her Instagram.
Yeah.
And of course, she tagged me in it. So
Yeah.
then, again, Instagram, you can retag. So I put it out there, and I'm like, you better believe if Leanne Hobbs is going to give you a compliment, I'm going to let everyone, like,
Well,
something
no.
like that, because
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man.
it's like that, with anything, when I was skateboarding, and when you're coming up and you're learning, and you're getting better, and someone who's good tells you, hey, that was really good what you did,
Mm-hmm.
you have this new, like, oh my God, like, they recognize something that
Yep.
I did.
Yeah.
So, and even now, and again, it's not like, oh my God, I'm so insecure, but it feels good. Like, okay,
Yeah.
don't get
I
me
mean,
wrong.
it's nice to get your flowers once in a while.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. It's all this. Like, it's all a phone. I'm
Yeah.
not doing anything. All right.
Yeah.
But when you're starting to learn, like, how to make, okay, this is the figure I want to focus in on. I want these guys to be a little blurred out.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have seen that, I don't know, 6 months ago, I would have been like, well, that's stupid. That guy's blurred out. But that's not the figure you're focusing on.
Yeah. You're picking a focal point.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
certain lights that I've just gotten that it's perfect. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
Matthew's like, he's like, yeah, you need to do this, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
Lighting's a big thing when it comes to the figures, man.
yes,
Yeah.
and like, he would tell me, he's like telling me not like in a dickish way.
Yeah.
He's
Good,
like,
good
hey,
constructive criticism.
yeah,
That's about.
he's like, you need to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, what do you mean? And
Yeah.
watch this guy, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's, and to me, it's like getting to the YouTube.
Yeah.
I watch all these YouTube creators because it's something new
Yeah.
for me to learn, and I'll put it on while I'm driving.
Okay.
And I, believe me, I don't think I know everything about YouTube at all, but I watch a lot of these. I used to watch a lot of creators like Nick Nimmin and stuff. He does lives, and I never feel like I have anything to ever ask, because that's what he does. He answers questions.
Yeah.
I never feel like I have anything to ask, because you just don't know. So I listen to his lives as people ask questions, and I'm driving around, and all of a sudden somebody asks something. I'm like, oh my God, I've been wondering that.
You've been thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't think about it when they're actually doing it to ask the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really got into that in photography right now, and I'm not going. I'm not that person every day that's out but I take a picture and I'm seeing something and I'm like, it's something new, and you're trying to figure out different angles.
Bills, yeah.
Emerald Knight, he does wonderful photography.
Yes, if I follow him. I follow him
Yeah,
because of your Thursday with a friend.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
say anyone that can make Super 7 Ultimates look good,
Yeah.
they're probably the best photographer out
Yeah.
there.
Listen, that's how I got into it because I got into I got hurt like severely on my day job, and I could never wrestle again. So that dream got shit canned. So I had to find something else. So I got into filmmaking. So, but when I graduated, I kind of discovered that I have a couple of mental problems in terms of social anxiety and shit like that. So I didn't want to deal with people. So toys is what became my salvation. It's crazy, and I laugh about it too, but it's the truth. It became my salvation, where I was like, oh, I can take pictures of toys. I can do this. I don't have to be a photographer. I can do this. And then so I just started doing that, and then I started to getting into all the stop motion and play. Then I started to realize, oh, I can make films with these things too. Like I don't have to go out and spend all this money on making movies. I can just spend a fraction and kind of do what these crazy action sequences that are in my head, because that's kind of where I was going with my film thing, where I was starting to ask like stunt people. I knew stunt people in the area and all the wrestlers that I was obviously involved with in the business. We were going to start making films, but then schedules suck, locations suck, financial, like I can't get costumes, I can't get all this shit for people. But toys already have everything. All you need is some fodder.
I gotta have you on. I heard you saying something. I heard you talking about this. I think
Yeah,
when you were talking with Yojo Jerk, because
yeah,
he also is in the film industry,
yeah,
I
yeah,
believe, right? So I heard you talking. I also
yeah.
heard about you were a wrestler.
Yes, I was.
Because I don't know if you know this. I was at WrestleMania 3 with
Right on.
93,173 of my best friends.
Was when Hulk Hogan slammed
I
that
watched
dirty
Hulk
giant.
Hogan pick up the big mean ugly giant and
Oh
slam him
yeah,
in shit
hell
all of
yeah,
Pontiac, Michigan.
hell yeah,
Um,
man, hell yeah.
my claim to fame are I was at WrestleMania 3 and I had the aircraft carrier as a kid.
With Lex Luger?
What?
With Lex Luger? Oh no,
No,
you
no,
had the egg. Oh, okay.
no, that I had the flag.
I was gonna tell you, were at the Intrepid when he slammed
No,
Yoko.
I remember watching
Oh, so sorry, I knew exactly where I was when that happened.
that. I also remember watching with my dad. Uh, the Ultimate Warrior beat Hulk Hogan do squiggly lines because we weren't going to pay for the
Oh,
pay
the
per
pay per
view.
view.
So
Yeah,
that's how we
WrestleMania. Yeah,
that's how we
WrestleMania 6.
watched the Ultimate Warrior beat Hulk Hogan. It's probably better that way anyway.
Oh, for sure, for sure. There was somebody in I don't know whose chat it was. There was I think it was Same Time Toy said he loved the Ultimate Warrior, and I told him, I was like, listen, the presentation was good, but when the bell rang, he was the drizzling shits. That's the truth.
But as a kid, you
Oh, you amped up
lived
with
in a
him.
fantasy world.
Yeah,
I remember as a kid. I
yeah,
remember as a kid because Rick Rude had the feud with him, and I
yeah.
remember
In
thinking, he
1990.
is. I'm like, Rick Rude is so much smaller than the Ultimate Warrior. It's not even a match. And then you look back at it and you're like, Rick Rude wasn't smaller than the Ultimate Warrior.
No, he wasn't. He was a
He was
shredded
a
dude.
very large man.
Yeah,
It was the presentation
yeah, absolutely.
of it.
Yeah,
You look back and I remember the British Bulldog. I remember Davy Boy being so much bigger than Dynamite Kid. And
kid.
then you
Yeah,
look at him and you're like, he was a little bit taller.
he was
He
a
was
little bit taller.
bigger, but the Dynamite Kid was fucking gigantic.
Yeah, Dynamite Kid was it. He was to me like it's crazy. He had the same exact body type as Chris Benoit. Like they
Exactly.
look exactly the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It
And
was.
that's another guy that I've seen him live too. Benoit, is you say what you want, like he was a piece of shit, whatever happened. But when the bell rang,
He
god
was one
damn,
of the best wrestlers
yeah,
of all time.
oh for real,
And,
man.
and again, I
There are times, man, when I like,
he did what he did, and it
yeah,
was
but
it's
like,
awful.
and I tell people that a lot. Listen, you can't, like, you'll never talk about it because of what happened,
Yes.
obviously, and he'll never get his just due because he doesn't deserve it because of what he did. But if you go back and watch those on the WWE Network, man, what he did in those like legit one of the greatest workers I've ever seen in the game.
O.J. Simpson was a wonderful running back.
It holds like what is the most rushing yards in a
Yeah,
single season.
and the only reason why he belongs in the Hall of Fame is because he was inducted before he
That happened.
was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
murderer.
yeah,
I don't want to say it because it might upset someone.
yeah.
Benoit, again, Benoit, in my opinion, his biggest issue was he could not work a mic.
Facts,
And
facts.
and I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I know people get mad about that type of stuff, but
Yeah.
wrestling is not just wrestling. That is
Oh,
why I say Shawn Michaels is the best wrestler of all time.
I let me tell you something. How many times I've had these arguments with people? It's because the way the wrestling business is now. And listen, I'm watching it closely because I got to edit it a lot and I got to do a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. So it's just who's more athletic than the other. That's what
Mhm.
it comes down to now. It's not telling the story that it was when we were watching.
Yes.
So, like to
And you hear
me,
Jim Cornette talk about it.
yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
he's a bitter old man,
Oh, it is. It's
but
true.
he's not wrong about a lot of things.
He spits truths, but because he's bitter, people
Yes.
don't tend to take it seriously. But what he's saying is true. It's,
Yep.
it's not wrong. And that, like I said, that goes for a lot of wrestling companies, especially the one that airs on Wednesdays. That's a
I,
the
I
Deutsche
I don't I
Company.
don't watch wrestling anymore.
Uh,
Um,
I tend to watch WWE because it's just, I mean, ingrained. I mean, for the last 30 years, I've been watching it. So it's just like now at this point, it's,
it was. I finally did get away.
yeah,
Probably in the late 2010s, towards the end of
okay.
John Cena and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But I tell everyone, I go, Shawn Michaels is the greatest wrestler of
Oh,
all
Sean,
time.
he
And
was
not,
the only guy can work a paper bag.
yes, and here's what I tell people: I go, he's a technical wrestler.
Yes.
He's not the greatest technical wrestler, but
No.
he's a great technical wrestler.
Yes.
He could take bumps like no one else.
Best seller in the game.
Yes, he. You can say whatever you want about the Hell in the Cell between Mick Foley and
But the
the
one in
Undertaker.
'97 is the greatest Hell in the Cell of all time. We are on the same page.
Yes,
Yeah.
what Mick Foley did, being thrown off the cage and then going through it, there are bumps. Like those are bumps. I remember watching
Yeah.
it. Like, it was crazy. But when you watch the original Hell in the
I
Cell,
tell people the only reason Foley took those bumps was because it was the only way you could top what Shawn and Taker did in
yeah,
'97.
and he wasn't supposed to go through the top of the cage.
That was a mistake. Yeah. That was
Yes,
an accident. Yeah.
and thank God the Undertaker didn't go with him. Thank
It
God
almost
it wasn't
happened.
on the same panel because
Yeah.
it
It
could have
almost
been really
happened.
bad.
It almost happened when they were walking across when he was going to throw him
Yep,
off
when it
and
falls, when
and
it.
they almost went through. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you watch it, and to this day, I am bitter because that ending was awful.
Yeah.
Having Kane come in and rip off the door, like you ruined. And I don't think they could have ever realized that Hell in a Cell was going to be that amazing,
I
right?
know.
But you
But
look
you
at
know,
Shawn Michaels.
it was one of those things that when they announced it, a cage with a top on it, I immediately was like, a cage with a top, Shawn. Like, as soon
And
as
then it
like,
was like a couple weeks later that
yeah,
WCW tried to do it with Hulk Hogan and Macho Man, and it was
uh,
like,
no, that was actually done in '95, but it was laughed at because of how it was done. Because they did that triple cage bullshit
no,
where
no,
Hogan had
no,
a,
no, no. They did another one. It was not the Triple Cage one.
oh, okay,
It was
okay,
just like the Hell in the Cell.
which is
And I
bigger,
want
right?
to say it was like a month or two after. It was Hulk
Okay,
Hogan and Macho Man, and it was so bad because that was right
yeah,
there on every. I mean, it
I
was
know,
right
I
there,
know.
and you're like,
I think I
"What the
remember what
hell?"
you're talking about. Yeah,
But I don't remember what it was called, and I don't think they ever did it again. But when I talk about Shawn Michaels, it's like, and then when you heard him get on the mic,
yeah, Shawn was good, man.
and he adapted. Hulk Hogan never adapted. Hulk Hogan's interviews, as awesome as they were, and I get chills.
Yeah,
I get chills thinking about him telling Andre, no, 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 and he rips the cross off him, which he wasn't supposed to.
yeah.
And then when they say, "Are you gonna fight him?" and he's like, "Yes!" Like, no, I get like I get chills today. But he does the exact same interview.
Well, I mean, yeah, he had the bread and butter and he went to it. Even that's what happens when he first formed the NWO and
Yep.
Nash and Hall are like, I don't know if this is gonna work because he's still doing that brother and all that other crap. But then he finally kind of realized, you gotta kind of change a little bit because you're a bad guy. Because he was still doing that brother and all that shit, and they were like, nah, man, that's not what we're about. and then when he got to Hollywood, he did change
Yeah.
because he went heel. But I understand what you're saying because for that whole, I mean, the meaty part of fucking the '80s and the early '90s, it was all eat your vitamins and say your prayers and all that other
You
shit.
know, another guy that had no business being as good as he is, I hope you don't mind talking about wrestling,
No, absolutely not.
is Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle to me was he was a good 3-tool player. I think his biggest mistake was his drug habit.
Oh, well, yeah, but
Because
very,
Angle was good, but
but
Angle couldn't beat his demons.
yeah, but here's what I mean by Angle had no business being this good. And that is because we saw him in his first televised match here in Michigan.
Okay.
And the guy I was with, it was a judo guy and an MMA guy. And he was mad, he was mad at everyone because they're all booing him. And he's like, "This guy, you kick your
Yeah.
calm fucking down, dude. Like, you're gonna get us killed because we can't fight everyone here." But Kurt Angle he's an Olympic wrestler. He won a gold medal. He knows that he can beat up every single one in that locker room. Maybe not beat up, but he could pin, right? And he looked at that and he said, "I'm going to be a heel," or he accepted it.
Yeah.
However they turned it, he could have easily said, "No, no, 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 no. I want a gold medal. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be a good guy," and it never would have worked.
No, yeah.
But he was able to say, "You know what? Let's change this."
Sometimes they're smart enough to read the crowd. Because that's what it is. Because I remember we talking about when he first came out and he was doing that whole nice guy gold medalist shtick, and they were trying to kind of push him as a face. It just wasn't working. They didn't like that because you're first off, 1999, you're in the heart of that attitude era where everybody's fuck you, fuck this, fuck that, right? So the good guy routine, it ain't gonna work. Nope. So as soon as he saw it and he started to play into it, and started to just really be intelligent and the 3 eyes, the intensity, integrity, intelligence, and the drinking of the milk. And everybody started he's like, all right, giving me more. Now you're giving me something to work off of. And that's why I tell people that's why he won the championship so quickly.
Yeah. Pro wrestling is not about who wins and loses. I know people don't want to hear that, but everyone talks about the ladder match.
Dude, if I could tell you how many times I've said to guys in the locker room, it's fake, right? Because they get mad when they win and lose. I was like, it's fake, right? It's not real. Yeah. Like this is. I said, dude,
your boss told you who's gonna win and lose.
We wrote this out. Like this is all written out. It's not like it's not about that. Like, and I always tell people like you lose now, but wrestling is about receipts. You get it back. Like you'll get it back. Just shut up. Just play along. Go along. You get along. Get it? Like, come on. That's the thing with I noticed when guys embrace gimmicks, when they embrace what you give them, then they start to let you be you. So, like for instance, when they said to the New Day, "Here's this tag team, you guys are together," they weren't ready for that, but they embraced it. They started to work with it. You work with what you give us. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna get it over. You start to get it over. Eventually, they start to turn around and go, "What do you want to do now?"
Yep.
That's what it is. A lot of people don't realize that because they dig their feet in the sand. Like I said, I see this in the indies all the time. It's like, yo, if you get to WWE and they tell you this, what are you going to do? Are you going to tell them no because you don't want to look silly? Like, it's not about it. Wrestling's about looking silly. It's 2 guys in colorful tights rolling around on a canvas for the enjoyment of drunk people. That's what it is.
I've never heard it put that way, but you are absolutely correct.
That's what it is. I was like, so have fun with it. Be the brunt of the joke. Be the dickhead. Be the asshole. When I was working in the game, I was a sniveling pussy. People called me pussy all the time. I didn't care because I didn't care. It's fake. I didn't give a shit. I'm just doing something here just to get a reaction out of you.
You talk about wins and losses, and again, everyone knows that WrestleMania 3 that Steamboat beat Macho Man just because it's. But no one cares who won. They talk about the match.
That's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
Yeah. They talk about the match.
Yeah.
I brought up the ladder match. When you go, Shawn Michaels lost that. And they're like, no, you didn't. Like, yeah. What does Jim Cornette say? He wrestled a ladder that day?
Yeah. Razor Ramon just happened to be in the ring.
Yeah. Razor Ramon was not, Scott Hall.
Scott Hall is a highly underrated wrestler.
Yes.
Scott Hall was very good. Scott Hall was also a ring general. He could understand crowds. And they
That's
said he
another
would
thing
change
people don't
he would change
realize.
things on the fly. That's what pisses me off when people downplay Triple H, because that guy, I've watched it happen. He's been in rings where he realizes that he's getting more heat even as a baby, and he'll flip it and be like, I'm going to be the bad guy because I'm going to get you over now, because I can already feel this crowd. He feels crowds out like nobody I've ever seen before in my life, and until this day haven't seen.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at Ric Flair. How many matches did he lose that
But you
he
don't
carried?
remember. Yeah.
You know, but no
Yeah.
one cares. But people know that Hulk Hogan hardly ever lost, and that's only because he wouldn't lose.
Well, because it was the infamous at the end of every card it said Hogan must pose. So Hogan had to pose at the end of
Oh,
every show.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. As a kid, I I, I used to have the poses down
Hell yeah.
absolutely 100%.
Hell yeah. Well, it was the
Um,
same thing with John Cena though. In John's run, when John Cena was running, hanging and banging in WWE as the champion, he would do that 15-minute outro, all the pay-per-views where he would sit in the pose in the ring with the title and everything like that. It's just what he was, this white hot baby face. The thing with John, John was an anomaly because he was a baby face and a white hot heel all at the same time.
yeah,
It was never saw it, and I still like Roman Reigns was close to it, but Roman's got more booze than she is. John Cena was right down the middle. It was crazy.
Bret Hart was kind of that way,
Brett,
but he didn't want it
listen,
like that. He didn't.
Brett's my all-time favorite because he was the guy who got me
Oh,
into the game because I
I'm
watched him work, and
I'm
I'm
sorry.
like, no, 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 no. Listen, I know, I know everybody.
I always have this fight with Toy Connections. Like I watch Bret tap out.
No, Brett is
Tap,
boring in
tap,
the
tap.
sense of Brett to me was boring in the sense of his promos were always very very
They're the
monotone,
same.
very yeah. But Brett made wrestling look so easy that's how I got into it. I literally learned by watching him because so when I trained with Tony DeVito of he was in ECW the Baldies. And he
Yes,
was
I
like a
remember.
yeah. So I trained with DeVito, and I remember doing a lot of Brett's moves. And DeVito said, "How the fuck did you learn those?" And I remember saying to him, "I was like, well, I just watched Brett." And he was like, "God." And then I remember him saying, "Because Brett makes it look easy, doesn't he?" And I learned how to do it by watching him. That's how easy he made this look. So like, wow, I always tell people, Brett, not the best promo guy, for sure. But when the bell rang, he was up there with guys like Angle, Benoit in
Oh,
terms of technical ability. He was good.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I liked about Brett, and I like this about some wrestlers when they say, "My greatest achievement is I never hurt anyone in the ring."
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people didn't get hurt when they were wrestling, but I didn't hurt them. I think Brett is one of he really thinks he's greater than what he was
I'll
all
be the
around.
first person to tell you that Bret Hart is very self-righteous.
He's very bitter,
Yeah,
but he has every right to be bitter against Goldberg, who did
I
not
agree.
give two shits when he hurt him
I agree.
because he didn't know how to wrestle.
Yeah. Bill Goldberg was to me one of the I didn't understand then the
Nope.
hype, and I never understood it like when they brought him back, and I was like, this guy, his run the first time was stupid.
When everyone was like, "Oh my god, we need to see a Austin versus Goldberg," and
Hell no.
this was when there was the two federations, and I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, no,
No,
he
yeah,
can't work a mic, he
yeah.
can't wrestle. In the end, Austin may have not been the greatest wrestler. One
Well,
time,
at his at one time he was. He just
but
had
yeah,
shit knees when he got to
yeah,
WWE.
but
That was
well, that's what I'm
mostly
saying. Like
yeah,
towards the end, he wasn't the greatest wrestler, right?
yeah, yeah,
But he could still wrestle,
yeah, yeah. He
right?
had it in him.
He could talk. If anyone ever says Austin can't talk, well, you're an idiot.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
He had the guy can come out right now and he can
Still get pop.
yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think that there's ever been a bigger pop than that guy. He
No,
can get someone against you that quickly, even now.
I've seen it live, and it. All I can say to people is, you hear the glass break, and then that is it. You
Yeah,
just hear all the audience. Like you don't hear nothing else after that. It was till this day one of the loudest things I think I've ever experienced in my life was an Austin entrance.
yeah, and again, I'm not
Even the Rock didn't get it like that. Like
No,
The Rock got pops, but it wasn't like
The
that.
Rock took time because
Yeah,
I was a huge Rock fan.
yeah.
Um, when he came back as The Rock,
The
and
Rock,
or
yeah.
well, as part of the Nation of Domination,
Domination. Yeah, yeah,
and and all that stuff, right?
yeah.
So I was a huge fan. He started calling himself The Rock. Now, my buddy over here, he was a wrestler. Him and his brother, they were wrestlers, the Bumpin' Uglies. I don't know if you
Okay.
ever heard of them or not. I know they wrestled all over, but
Yeah.
and they also have a punk band, the Bumpin' Uglies. So
Okay.
his brother, who actually still does wrestle, he started calling himself the Josh because his name was Josh after The Rock. And this was well before The Rock got popular. This was when
Yeah.
still the Nation of Domination.
Nation, yeah.
And he started calling himself the Josh because it's just so. What? You can't be more arrogant than that. But you're supposed to be arrogant in wrestling.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did.
You know,
MJF. Are you familiar with that guy?
I'm familiar, but I don't know much about him. I know
Okay.
just
So
people want him in the WWF to
yeah.
feud with
Okay. So I saw him coming up in the Indies.
him. Okay.
Okay. Now I saw him like his rookie year. Like he just came out of a Wrestle Pro. I think he was training at, and I saw him at this small company in Jersey. I was a commentator at the time. So the show is done. The promoter, we go in the room and we talk about the show. He turns around. He goes, he goes, "What'd you guys think?" And literally in front of everybody, it was like a room, like his little inner circle. I stood up and I said, "Who's that guy that wrestled?" And I said the match, and he goes, "You talking about MJF?" I said, "That guy needs to be the world champion of this company right now." And he turned around, and he goes, "Nah, man, he's too arrogant." I said, "Yeah, he should be. He's the best guy out there right now on the mic in the ring. He deserves to be that arrogant." I'm telling you right now, put the belt on him, get as much footage as you can because he's gone. It ain't gonna take long. Literally 6 months later, he was gone. MLW, then the AEW, and now he's making the big bucks. I told him then. I saw it then, man. If you have it, you have it, and you can be arrogant because you have it.
Now, are you talking about arrogant in the back or just up in front?
No, I just listen. What I was watching while like before the show was starting,
Okay.
he was getting along with the locker room. Didn't
Okay.
seem like he was an asshole at all. But I don't think like sometimes promoters, and I mean this in the most respectful way, but sometimes when they see that kind of confidence,
Yeah.
it kind of challenges their like, oh, I'm still,
That.
and they don't like that shit. Whereas to me, when I see that kind of confidence in the ring, that's a presence, man. That's an it factor, as they call it. You can't deny that. It's undeniable when
Yeah.
you see it. And I saw it, and I said to him, I was like, this kid is going to be on TV before you know it. So you better get all the footage you can of him. This way, when they come asking, they're going to come to use. But they didn't listen to me. And like I said, 3 months later, gone to Major League Wrestling, which was like a smaller televised company. And then AEW, because he became friends with Cody Rhodes. And then that was it.
And I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, there's arrogance and there's
Yeah.
confidence.
Confidence, man.
And
It's a very thin line, but when you see it, you know the difference.
and I think a lot of people think, like, for me, they're like, I've been told by other guys that are like, yeah, some people, they just think you're arrogant. I have one good friend. He's like, this guy, he doesn't like you. He says you're arrogant. He says you never help any of the smaller channels. And he goes, it pissed me off because you were just promoting my channel the week before, trying to get me to 500. And I'm like, he goes, you don't even watch this shit, do you? Like, he goes, I was pissed. Like, all the stuff you're saying.
It's the
And
truth because I'll be honest with you. I've seen you do nothing but put other people over on your live streams. And stuff.
I mean, again, to me, if you grow, then I grow.
Absolutely.
And that's how I feel for life. And I say this at work. I don't gatekeep anything. I'm the head technician. You know, I don't act like well, I know how to fix that, but I'm not going to tell you. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go fix your problem, right? To me, if you're on YouTube and you surpass me, you get more popular than me, it's my job to keep people entertained that they will still want to watch me.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they can't watch you or whoever, right?
Yeah.
But if you go right past me, good for you. I'm gonna shake your hand and say,
And
hey, you worked really fucking hard.
that's
Unless you're buying subs. If
that's
you're buying
yeah.
subs, I'm gonna say fuck you. Um,
Now before yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't want to get too much into it. Because I've heard all the stories now that's going on these couple weeks with what's going on, but I never really
I'm gonna try not
because
to.
I came in on the Sunday night rant that you did that one night where you just came on and you started going nuts. I'm like, whoa, because he's never doing Sundays. What's this about?
Oh yeah, that was
So I what exactly?
that.
Why did he strike you? What was the beef there between
Okay,
you and that?
so that Sunday night had nothing to do with him.
Okay, okay,
So that Sunday night was so like a month and a half before that, something hit me,
okay.
and they said that at this time on my stream I said something, and I went to it. I'm like, I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Well, I had done the that Empire Strikes Back live read on that Saturday.
Okay.
So once I got done, I jumped over on Oz's channel. And Oz actually wasn't doing it. It was Ed that was doing it. And then I simulcasted it. Well, like within 2 minutes of it, um, Corey from Make Shape Create, he was showing off this wooden Mandalorian blaster that he sculpted in prop, right?
Oh wow. Okay.
I got hit because now I was flagged. So they were like the bots were looking for something. They saw it as a weapon.
Oh wow.
And that's not what my channel is, or I don't know
Yeah.
what. And I found out when I went to go create Thursday show, because Monday show was already created. When I went to create Thursday show, that I couldn't create it, and then that's when I went through all this. That's the reason why I did that, because I got it back, and I wanted to make sure that I could
You show
stream.
you live.
So
Okay.
that has absolutely nothing to do with
The other guy. Well, so
Viper.
what happened with the other guy then?
Okay, so Viper Island. Oh boy, I'll try and make this quick, but I make no promise.
Oh hey, got nothing but time, bro.
All right, so I would say there's been a back and forth. I can't say back and forth. There has been us blasting him because he lies about stuff. Then he deletes videos after he's lied about stuff. He would call the community out saying that these are 3D printed heads. These are not actual sculpts. He did it with the bat and the alley viper, and then
Wow.
he removed it when he was proven to be a complete moron.
More. Yeah.
So he had done this, and we would make memes. Chaz the Guru was probably the biggest one. So I'm trying to think the exact timeline of things, but um, so I had gotten hit with copyright strikes from him,
Okay.
and this was the first time.
Was this on YouTube or Instagram?
This is on Instagram. He
Okay.
never done anything on YouTube, which
Okay.
YouTube is that's a scary place because you can actually talk to a real person. You cannot on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
So he hit me up, or he hit me, and I don't remember how many. And so I was on steroids for some reason. Not for working out, but I was on steroids for medication.
You said okay. Okay.
Prednisone. If you've ever been on
Okay.
prednisone, you get hot, you get cold, you get hungry, but you don't want to eat anything, and you get angry.
Yeah.
And I woke up from a nap. I have a list of strikes. I hit Chaz the Guru up because I know he hates this guy. He goes, he just hit me. He hit me up for like 20. He just hit Jersey Maniac up. And I didn't have, this was Saturday. I didn't have a topic for Monday. I'm like, fuck. And I went upstairs and I did a topic.
Yeah.
And it was calling him out. Now, I had already called him out before because a little while before that, he had done, I exposed him for buying subs because you can see a huge spike if you look at Social Blade. And then it
Okay.
just drops. Now people said that's when people say that's when he showed when he bootlegged the G.I. Joe movie before he had to remove it. Again, I can put the Transformers movie on. Not that many people are going to subscribe to my channel. They're just going to watch it.
You're gonna watch
But I
it.
still
Yeah.
believe he was buying subs. But someone had come out. They wanted the USS Flag Super 7 shirt. Well, they found it, and this guy did a video and his clip on Instagram, a reel, showing that he found it here. Or he's like, this is a Super 7 one. I go to Viper Island's page, and he has the exact same picture, but you can see where he removed the Super 7 logo and put his own over it.
Wow.
Then I went and looked at all his pictures, and almost every single shirt that he had was from Hasbro Pulse. So I did a whole video, a whole live stream exposing
So he was basically reprinting their logos with his logo on it.
not even their logos, the actual action figures and their poses. He would just change the background.
Round. Oh my
But
God.
the Super 7 one was the exact same
Exact
thing
same.
with it. It was awful. I couldn't believe, I can't believe anyone could have the balls to even do that.
Yeah.
Within 2 days, he took everything down after I did that live stream. Because I went back. So if you went and look now, like that live stream, you'll see all the pictures. Like I had everything up there. So obviously I got put on his radar. And then a couple months, maybe a month later, he hits me up. And now I'm feeling
strikes. Yeah.
There was already some other shit that someone had driven me nuts. Travis Moody had driven me absolutely nuts going into. So Monday came around, and I'm just like, I'm still on, like, I'm hot. So boom, I went off on him. And then it was probably about, I think the His Tank was my last post on my Punk with Toys Instagram. When I go to get on it, and I realize I can't get on it. And I thought that Instagram was down.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, because when it took me to it, it doesn't give me anything. And I'm not looking at my emails. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm on an Apple. And because I asked Tony, he's like, no, mine's working, whatever. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then I look at my email, and all of a sudden I see I got copyright striked from like pictures from like 6 weeks before that.
Oh wow.
But they don't tell you. So I lost it for 3 months. I think I got it back because I think it was the end of November. I think I got it back beginning of February.
Wow.
Something like that. But I already started the new one. That's why I have 2 Instagrams. Not because I'm so popular, I need 2. I need 2 Instagrams. I guess it's good to have a backup. So that was what he did. I was the first one. I obviously went off on it. Because I'm pissed off. Because when I lost the account, you lose all these conversations you have with people. So conversations that I had with Lenny. Now, I'm friendly with Lenny. I mean, I would say Lenny's like my friend, but like, we're not going to hang out because, well, first off, he lives in a different state or whatever. But he'll tell me certain things. But on Instagram, if you're not friends with someone, it goes into another folder unless if you go and look at it. You can only message one time. So I had messaged a few people that I had conversations with. What really pissed me off is my daughter and I, we go back and forth with like Instagram reels
and stuff. Yeah.
A lot of dog stuff, a lot of animal stuff, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of dogs.
Do
you want to go outside? Go see Andrew. Go see Andrew. I'm going to yell really quick. Everyone knows Roman.
Yeah.
He almost fell down the steps. So I lost it. Instagram does not communicate with you. They don't say, hey, you've lost it for 3 months. You've lost it for 90. They don't tell you anything. There's no number to contact. There's no email. The only email that they give you is his email so I can contact him to try and resolve the issue.
Wow.
Well, how am I going to resolve the issue with the guy that's putting in all these copyright strikes?
Yeah.
So I wasn't the first one that he hit up. I'm assuming there were probably others. I was the first one that we know that actually got banned.
Wow. That's
great. As you might imagine, I'm not the type to not say something.
Yeah.
I go every Monday. I think I missed 2 Mondays all of last year. So holidays come, I'm usually there, other than on Christmas.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
So that was the gist of it. Now, with that said, Am I immature for making memes about him? I guess. But you get aggravated because you're not aggravated because people are watching his show. Because I say, hey, if you want to go watch a show you've enjoyed, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm aggravated because he gives false information, and now people are saying, well, no, he said this. Or people are coming in asking the question, and they're now flooding our timelines. And I know this is toys. I know someone's going to go, it's just fucking toys. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
it's like, this is someone that you don't need in the community because
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what his purpose is, what his end game is. Well, I don't know why you don't want to make friends in the community that you're in. That's
Yeah, that was the
what's
first
not.
thing. That's the first thing that I found to be strange
Yeah,
and
but
off. Yeah.
I will. So the picture that he hit me up, because there was like three pictures, but there was one that stood out, and it was when he showed off the Mace Windu head and
Okay.
said that it was Doc. This is the new Doc head, right?
Wow.
So I did a screenshot. I did a screenshot of his show. It says like the new Doc, and I wrote I wrote. So I used my app and I wrote, "That's Mace Windu, you dumb fuck." Admittedly, not nice. And then in the caption on Instagram, I said, "Even the subs that he, even the subs that he bought are trying to unsubscribe to his
Right.
channel." So I'm not gonna sit there and say no. I didn't say shit. He's just attacking me. I know what I know, but again, like no one else is doing that.
Yeah, he was. I never knew that guy from the hole in the wall. So to when this all went down, all you guys were having problems. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I just didn't know who the hell he was. So I was always curious to see why he was messing with you guys and starting problems. I just didn't get it because, like you said, the one thing I noticed about this toy community or this toy brotherhood fellowship, everybody's calling it. Uh, I noticed how welcoming you guys are and how nice and respectful. Honestly, respectful. May have your own opinions, but it's always respect. You're gonna have your own opinion, as you know. We don't have to agree, but as long as we're civil, we're all good. And I didn't understand why one guy couldn't get along with everybody, and then I realized, oh, it's the one guy that's the problem. He's the problem, not everybody else.
Yeah, so a lot of it started. So a lot of it started with false information.
Yeah, yeah,
Now you see his production value; it's really nice. He comes out like he knows stuff. So if you're on Facebook and you go in these GI Joe communities, there are people that are watching him because they're only GI Joe collectors. They don't care
yeah,
about toys. They don't know about toys, and that is all fine and well. But it also becomes a problem because they're like, "Oh my God, have you seen the price of these Super Sevens? They're $55." They're not complaining that the quality is awful. They're just saying, "Oh, what a ripoff." Well, you don't know
mm,
toys,
yeah,
and that's a problem because
yeah,
now you're trying to speak on something that, hey, $55 for a toy. I mean, it's a lot of money. I'm not going to say it's not, but it's not like, oh my God, I can't believe someone would charge $55 for a toy. You know, it's like, oh, okay. It's one of the more expensive ones, but not the one of the most expensive.
facts.
Uh,
So he doesn't know shit. Is basically what is he just
yeah,
spews?
he has no communication with Hasbro. I know he tried getting a hold of them in the past. I don't know why they declined. I know for a fact that Lenny knows exactly who he is, and
Yeah,
his comments to me were, I don't understand why that guy has a problem with so many people. But he started making up he started making up lies. One of the things was he has on good authority from somebody that Target is getting a Target exclusive Dr. Mindbender with Trouble Bubble. This was about 3 years ago. This was one of his first videos. Chaz says it's his first video. I don't know because it's
okay,
gone now. This is when Target was getting all these exclusives, right? So everyone
okay.
ran with it, right? Well, it was a complete bullshit lie. And you would catch him with other lies. But the biggest
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
was, and this is how I found out who a Toy Kind of Mood is. The Toy Kind of Mood went to San Diego Comic Con. It was 2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
They got an interview with Lenny and Emily. And I know it was Black Genghis. I thought it was Travis on the other side. It might have been Bobby. I don't remember. So they did an interview. So imagine here, I'm over here, and you're over there, and Emily and Lenny are here. We're talking live to them, right? It's one camera shot.
Okay.
He starts talking about, hey, I have my people on the floor at San Diego Comic Con. I'm not going to go through everything, but I'm going to break down what the GI Joe team says. Shows them, but what does he do? First off, he's calling them his people. That
Yeah.
acting like it's his people, and then he crops them out. Doesn't give them credit.
Wow.
This causes Travis Moody to fucking go through the
I'm gonna lose it. I don't blame him.
Well, I don't know who Travis is. I just know I'm on the I'm seeing him on the full force now. Travis is from Boston. Um, you know, the full force, they're out that way, so that's why he knows them.
Yeah.
They got to know all of them, right? Lenny, Chris from the full force and everything, right? And he's on there in the chat. He's going fucking nuts because he's like, I don't know what to do. And it's kind of like, this guy's kind of a fucking baby at first, right?
Yeah.
But then you start looking more into it and you're like, all right. And then you see the interview because I believe I either watched it there or maybe Chris showed some of it on the full force. But then you see Viper Islands and you can see that they're removed. He zoomed in for no reason.
Wow,
and then he starts, and then after the community starts going off, after him, he starts saying, well, we don't give credit to people that attack us. Travis had never, no one on a Toy Con Mood had ever attacked him. I don't even think they even knew who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
It was when they found this out. And this is when you start realizing he doesn't give people credit.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's times that I forget to give someone credit, and other people will do the same thing. But you can also look at people and be like, oh, that person is omitting because he doesn't want to. There's no reason. There's no reason for it. But when you start looking at all the work that they had to do to get to San Diego Comic Con, the money that it costs just to have a ticket there, hotel, working the logistics, whether you like the G.I. Joe team or not, it's just wrong. All he had to do was show them, say, hey, this is from a Toy Kind of Mood. This is, they got an interview with him. I'm going to play a couple clips of it.
Yeah, that takes a special kind of arrogance to just say, these are my people. And then
you say arrogance, I say asshole, but they both start with
PC. I'm trying to be a little politically correct.
Again, there's I mean, I've done all the work for everyone. This is me patting myself on the back. Put my shoulder back. I did all the work for everyone. And what I mean by that is, like, I did all the live streams exposing everything, showing the social blade of where, you could see like
the spike and everything.
Yeah. And on Social Blade, when he had to remove that G.I. Joe film, you see the views that he lost. It's really weird because YouTube looks at it. So let's say, my Duke video, right? It has 12,000 views. Yeah. If I go and unlist it right now, or if I delete it, it will show that I've lost views.
Oh, it'll drop it down. Oh, wow.
Yeah, those don't exist. So 12,000 is going to be a huge spike. Right?
Spike, yeah.
A big spike. But someone that got like 100,000 views on something, it fucking shows.
Yeah.
There's other YouTubers that I've caught that have done the same thing.
Oh, wow.
Because you just go and look and you go, okay. Again, I may not like people, but you can go look at people. Tony Roberts, Analog Toys. Guy does not like me, right? And I don't like him.
Now, I was on one of your live streams, and I heard him. You said he called you a "See you next Tuesday."
Yes.
Now, why is there a beef there? I don't want. Listen, you don't want to talk about this stuff. We don't have to.
Well,
but
I think because I don't have a problem calling a spade a spade. He's attacked other YouTubers, and I'm sorry, everything that he does now he used to create really good content in my opinion, but everything's become a commercial for Valaverse, and okay, that's fine, but don't act like you're not a show for them. You have an action figure from them, but he was, I think, one of the people that I used when I was going through showing Viper Island. and he has 50,000 subs. You
Mhm.
go and look at his Social Blade, you can see there's a progression. There's always these ups of where he's getting subscribers.
Right, was
Not
right.
like a 12,000 subscribers in 1 week and then 20,000. Like,
Yeah.
you go look at Dead Life, the exact same way. There's this progression.
Yeah.
Sometimes there may be a little dip, but there's always going to be this progression, right? If you go and look at mine, you're going to see the same thing. When you
Yeah.
look at Viper Islands, there's this huge gain, and then it's like, and then it goes right down to zero. Like he's not,
Zero
and I'm like, that's when you buy subs.
subs. Yeah.
I
Jeez.
mean, it's right there.
Yeah.
Um, and again, if that's what you need to do, then so be it. And if that's what you want to say,
Yeah.
hey, you have,
Well,
10,000.
he seems like he's one of those guys that likes the numbers because I saw that stupid video that he posted after all this shit went down about. Uh, so he seems like he really jerks off those numbers.
Yeah, but again, why don't you want to be? I mean,
That's what
why
I
do
don't
you
get.
want to create enemies? And again, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people in this community that want to. There's a lot of people that want to create drama,
Yeah.
and a lot of people say, "Well, you're one of them because you." I'm like, I just don't have.
You
I
just call
have,
out bullshit. Is
yeah.
what it is.
My issue, and this has been my issue my entire life, is that I don't hide it because I don't want to.
Too. Yeah.
I told Tony's Figs.
Mhm.
I go, when we're at Joe Fest, if you start to notice if someone's talking to us and I'm not talking to them, or I'm giving one word answers, I'm highly annoyed with them and I probably
Um,
don't like them. And I'm not really hiding it. I'm
yeah.
just trying to be as polite as
If you
possible.
got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at
Yeah.
all.
I'm not going to cause problems at somebody else's event. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to start physical
Problems.
confrontations with
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man.
I think anyone at our age that is trying to do that, like, first off,
Get a
why?
life. Yeah. Get
Yeah,
a life.
why? I mean, especially
Absolutely.
about toys.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm gonna call a spade as you're calling other people out, and I'm sorry. Anything that I discuss is stuff that is most of the stuff is already being shown on YouTube. Like, I'm pointing out stuff that you did, so don't get mad at me. It kind of
Yeah.
like goes back to like the mean comments that I've been reading. I don't know if it bothers people because I only do it for the channel members. I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
it bothers people because to me it's just like giving a channel member something, me reading them, right?
Yeah. Just
Um,
something to laugh about.
but yeah, like, I'm sorry. I hope you. Well, actually, I don't care if you get mad because I'm reading them. But if you're gonna put it out there, I'm assuming that you don't care that everyone reads it,
Reads it. Yeah.
or that
Exactly.
I read it out to everyone because you put it there
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
everyone
For
to
sure.
see. So don't get mad if I rebuttal something that you said.
Absolutely.
Just like if I say something that someone doesn't like and they want to rebuttal, they're more than welcome to. And they're allowed to have their opinion of me. I'm
Yeah.
not going to
Exactly.
lose any sleep over it.
That is a beautiful way to put a bow tie on this episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. Can I say your real name? I don't want to get in trouble. Is that okay?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Thank you so much for joining me, Lawrence. It's for real. I when I messaged you on Facebook, I was nervous that you was gonna kind of just not no sell me, but kind of give me the runaround. Dance around the invitation. So I'm so happy that you
That I
took
was
it.
going to Ultimate Warrior you.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
But
I enjoy going on with people. I love getting to know other people.
hell yeah,
I don't want to be someone that people can't talk to. I'm just another person, and I've never been an autograph seeker. And if you
yeah,
are, that's great. I don't have a problem with it. I've never been an autograph seeker because you are no better than me. I'm no better than you. Hulk Hogan is no better than either one of us. He's
nope,
just more famous, right?
yeah,
He
exactly.
had big 24-inch pythons and could yell into a microphone, right? And
Hey,
people,
listen, if you find yourself in Tampa, Florida, and you go over to Hogan's beach, you can hang out with him because he's there now every Monday doing karaoke.
is he really?
Yeah, if you in Tampa, his bar, he owns like a bar and grill type thing. He owns like a little couple of spots. He owns the beach shop still, and then down a little further, he owns like a bar. And every Monday, he's in there doing karaoke. Him and Jimmy Hart.
Oh wow.
Like they play like Monday Night Raw, they give prizes away and shit like that. It's a real good time. Yeah.
I can't go there on Mondays because I'm doing a show.
So, well, what if you do it live from the beach
But,
shop? That'd be pretty sick.
that would be pretty badass.
That'd be pretty fucking badass. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Get Hulk Hogan on the show. Like,
Oh
I
hell
might do
yeah,
this
man.
alone usually, but I got a special guest.
Yeah, I think I can make an exception tonight. Come on in, Hulkster.
No, like I know, like you had messaged me about something else, and and I was like, no, that's not what I was trying to say at all.
Yeah, yeah,
I had an issue because my brain was moving way faster,
yeah. I remember that.
and
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure that you were who I had watched
yeah. Okay.
because I actually went. If I remember correctly, after I said it, I went and I was searching for your name to make
Yeah.
sure it was the same person.
Channel. Okay.
Because if you noticed the other day, I called you Elite Legend.
You did.
And just because he's been around longer, and I see,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, shit, like it, and
Yeah.
it bothered me because you're not him.
Yeah.
But it is obviously the same first, the first name that you're going by.
I am.
But I knew I knew it wasn't him that I was going on with. But no, I'm glad that you did because
I very respect you. I respect a lot of you guys in this community, and like I said, I notice when a guy is a straight shooter, and I immediately notice with you that you're a straight shooter, immediately from your live stream. So this guy
no,
is just him. He doesn't pull no punches, and I kind of like those guys because you're gonna get that all the time.
well, like I say to people that, hey, you always say whatever's on your mind. I go, not really. If you knew everything that was going on in my mind, you'd be like, oh, fuck. No, again, like if you don't, like, I've had people ask me, hey, what do you think of this? Do you want to know the real answer?
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
want me to say that was really good. Um, I'm not. I don't always want to be a dick about it, but I found that I'm way too blunt about some things when it comes to certain things because
things. Yeah,
it doesn't bother me, but my ex would be like, "You don't have to be like that,"
yeah.
which doesn't
Listen,
change because she's like that.
yeah.
But no, no, I was glad that you reached out, and I actually saw you on. Where was it that I'd seen you on?
I did a live with Crow one time. You might have been there.
Yes, yeah, with Crow, and then I reached out. I'm like, "Who was that?" And then he
Yeah,
told me, I'm like, "Oh wait a minute, you're actually in the chat."
yeah, yes. But
You've
I
been in
like
the chat.
it was an honor to talk to you today. It was an honor to get your story. It was an honor to listen to you just go on about toys, man. I like I said, this podcast is about it's about meeting guys like you, and just now I can call you a friend. Just
Yes.
now I know you. So and that's exactly why I did it. So I hope you guys watch and enjoyed this episode. You can find this wonderful gentleman on his channel at a Punk with Toys. There you'll get his reviews, his live streams, Monday Night Toy Ramblings, and Thursday with a Friend, where he invites friends in the community, where he just talks about them and lets them tell their story live on his channel to his big following that he's got. So if you're not subscribed to him, I highly suggest you do it. He's got great stuff, and like I said, your reviews, they're straight as shit, and I like them because like I want a if I'm gonna spend my money on something, I want to make sure that what I'm spending my money on, I'm gonna get my money's worth. And there's a very few you toy reviewers out there that give me what I need in terms of the toy itself, like reviewing it. So I
Well,
tip my cap to you for that. I tip my cap to all the stuff you do in your live streams when you shout guys out. That one night where you just started literally putting everybody over. Not many people do that, man.
that was
So that,
thank you. That to me that was I knew that I was doing clickbait. I knew
yeah,
people were tuning in to hear me calling out people I don't like.
yeah,
I don't want to do that. Like
yeah,
again, I don't want to do that. And my moderator, they knew what I was going to do. Um, and then it was such a change, and people again, I it was nice getting messages from people. It was nice hearing people on live streams that were like, "That was so cool that you did that." I got 8 subscribers because of it.
yeah. I mean,
You know,
listen, it bumped up a bunch of those guys, and it just shows that like they're all striving to be like you guys. Because all you guys got the big followings right now. You guys got the big time live streams. So they're striving and I know a lot of guys might not want to hear that. I'm a grown man. I don't want to be like another grown man, but that's not how I'm meaning. What I'm saying is,
No.
you guys see the success, and you know you want that. And when you're on the stream and you're acknowledging that and you're shouting them out, they feel like they're a part of something special, just like I do. Whenever you guys shout me out, you guys, even if it's just a quick comment, hey Tone, a Legend Series, it makes me feel like I'm involved in this growth with you. And I think that you can't say more than you can't thank you enough for that, because we're on the journey with you.
Our every single one of our streams is nothing without the people that are watching and in that chat. I
Facts.
cannot do 3+ hours on Monday alone
Yeah.
if it's not you guys ribbing me, going back and forth with each other, having your own conversations.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It doesn't exist.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, I caught the bug when I saw your guy, and I started doing it live on Sundays, and that chat comment you just made, I couldn't agree more. When that thing starts to cook, you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're sitting around like a campfire with guys, and you're just
Yes.
shooting the shit, and jokes are flying back and forth, and you're just laughing. Before you know it, 4 hours goes by. You're like, where the fuck did that time go just now? Because it's just so engaging and fun that you like I said, thank you for literally, like I said, it was guys like you. It was guys like a few other channels out there that really inspired me to come into this community and do this kind of content.
Oh, there's other channels that I don't. We just end it.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on Talking Figures. That is A Punk with Toys. I am Legend Series. Until next time, keep playing, everybody.